Chapter 5167. Zi Chen looked at the door with a hint of doubt on his face, because he wasn't sure what was behind the door. The woman whose emotions were fluctuating closed the wooden door again. It was obvious that she had no intention of receiving guests. Zi Chen didn't want to disturb her. Previously, he had already experienced the other party's character, and he really didn't have the courage to knock on the door. That aura was very terrifying. After thinking about it, he decided to take a look at the door. After all, the other party had no reason to harm him. Zi Chen followed the path under his feet and walked forward. When he arrived in front of the door, he took a deep breath. After adjusting himself slightly, he opened the door. What entered his eyes was the light of the galaxy, just like Ji Hong's move, Sky Piercer, which cut open space. If he walked in, would he get lost? Zi Chen turned back and looked at the wooden house again. There was still no movement inside. With that woman's strength, she could definitely see what he was doing. Since she didn't come out to stop him, perhaps there was no problem. He gritted his teeth and walked in. Swish! As if shuttling through space and time, the scene in front of Zi Chen flipped, and a dilapidated land appeared in his field of vision. The aura here was somewhat familiar. Zi Chen released his soul power and instantly enveloped the surroundings. After seeing the environment clearly, there was a hint of shock in his eyes. This was the Gashan world. I'm back. I'm actually back. At this moment, Zi Chen's mood was extremely excited. He walked out of a door and returned to his original world from that mysterious world. Swish! In the next moment, he disappeared from this world and arrived at the Saint Spirit world. It was a familiar aura. He immediately released his soul power. His terrifying soul power almost completely enveloped the entire world. The familiar feeling returned. The Tianwu continent suddenly shook. The ancient trees in the world began to tremble. It was King Jono who sensed Zi Chen's aura and woke up from his deep sleep. Following that, a message quietly spread out. The foreign race creatures and the black ants living underground also knew the news and were immediately excited. Zi Chen's soul power began to explore the entire Saint Spirit world. In the next moment, his figure disappeared. He did not return to the Sky Martial continent. Instead, he went to a space at the edge of the world. Everyone, attack with all your might. Once we break through this space, we'll be able to catch a turtle in a jar. The Reverend King, who had once been the strongest in Gushanjia, was arranging for people to act. They were all in the heavens' chosen realm, the highest realm this world could endure. They frantically attacked the space in front of them. The Honorable King looked at the distorted space and sneered. Behind the Honorable King stood several monitors. It was because of their help that they found the hiding place of those people. In the hidden space, Miao Miao, Shuai Lin, Tyrant, and the others were working together to strengthen the space. This situation had persisted for a very long time. All of them had become extremely weak. Even the two overseers, Black Lake and Black Lake. The two of them had tried their best. They used their greatest authority to imprison themselves in this place and help them hide. Powerful energy was constantly transmitted through space. The monk with a weak aura gritted his teeth and said, "Rather than dying here in a cowardly manner, we might as well fight it out with them." Beside him, Zhang Haoqin glanced at him. "How? If we go out, we'll die." Over the years, it wasn't that they hadn't fought, but the number of enemies was too many. "That's better than dying here," the monk said angrily. "If we can kill one, we'll make a profit." The others didn't speak. They really didn't have the energy to do so. Their consumption was almost at the limit. The reason for that was because this encirclement had lasted for far too long. Everyone leave a wisp of soul force. After the space is shattered, we will find a way to send the soul force out. As for whether we can successfully escape and be reborn, it will depend on the will of the heavens. Black Lake looked at everyone and said, everyone had no other choice. This was already the last path. Next, everyone left a part of their soul force, and their soul force didn't dare to be too strong, Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to escape. After Blacklake collected the souls, he shook his head again. He knew that this method was superfluous. Because there were monitors outside, these soul forces couldn't escape at all. The others should have felt the same, but they didn't say it out loud. Perhaps in their hearts, there was still a little hope. Boom! Finally, the space shattered. Tyrannical energy instantly swept through this place. It was like a destructive storm was approaching. The monk and the others stood up one after another, mobilizing the last bit of energy in their bodies. Their eyes were filled with determination and indifference, preparing for the final battle. You stray dogs, there's nowhere to run this time, right? The Lord looked at these people with only hatred in his eyes. Back then, after Zichen came back from the dead, he had been hiding, worried that he would be found by the other party. He hid until Zichen left. His gaze swept across everyone. His resentful eyes lingered on Miao Miao, Lin Shui, and the other women. The others will die a quick death, but you can't. I will only kill you after I've tortured you enough. The Lord said coldly, or I will let you reproduce and have you be slaves and prostitutes for generations to come. Lin Shui and the others heard these vicious words, but their expressions didn't change. They had consumed too much energy and couldn't kill everyone. But if they really wanted to die, no one could stop them. But they must take advantage of the moment before they die to kill one or two more. Cut the crap. If you have the ability, come and see if I don't chop off your head. The monk held a big knife in his hand and shouted at the Lord, with just you guys. The Lord's expression was disdainful. He gently waved his hand, and suddenly a golden light flowed out. There were 5 golden lights that flew into the sky. These were the 5 great golden bells. The golden bells flew directly above everyone's head, stirring up one golden ripple after another. Everyone felt a terrifying pressure descending from above. Their faces changed drastically. They originally wanted to fight to the death, but now that they saw the golden bells, they knew that they couldn't fight. Lin Shui and the others were even more desperate. Under the suppression of the golden bells, wanting to commit suicide was a luxury. See, Zichen's 5 great golden bells. The revered king laughed out loud. This is life. You guys are either Zichen's friends or Zichen's women, but the result? You guys have followed him for so long, but in the end, you all died under his weapon. Now, do you have any last words to say? If I can meet Zichen, I'll pass on a message to him. There was only anger in everyone's eyes, wishing that they could go up and risk their lives. I knew that you guys would make a counterattack before your death, so this golden bell was specially prepared for you guys. The Lord snapped his fingers and said, Let's kill one first. That Baldy is you. In the sky, the golden bell trembled, and a terrifying aura escaped. Everyone felt a strong threat, and the monk's perception was the most obvious. Death was coming. The Lord was laughing loudly, waiting for the monk to die. But the terrifying attack that he imagined did not fall. The Lord's expression changed slightly, and he snapped his fingers again. Die? Baldy die. The golden bell only rippled, but no killing move appeared. How could this be? He looked up at the golden bell, feeling incredulous. The monk and the others also noticed the abnormality and looked forward one after another. In an instant, their expressions changed, and there was a hint of disbelief on their faces. They saw a person standing behind them. Chapter 5168. The king snapped his fingers again and again, but the 5 golden bells in the sky did not respond. Only the ripples surged, but the killer move did not fall. The king's face became more and more unpleasant. At this moment, he noticed a change in the expressions of the people in front of him. Could there be someone behind him? However, he didn't sense anything out of the ordinary. He slowly turned around. He saw a person standing there. The moment he saw the person's face, he suddenly screamed and jumped back in shock. Because that person was Zichen. The others turned around, and when they saw Zichen, their faces changed drastically. However, there were some who did not know Zichen and were only puzzled. "It's you. How is this possible?" The king looked at Zichen in shock. "How could you be here?" Zichen looked at him indifferently. "It seems that I should have killed you before I left. Leaving you alive would have been a disaster in the end." Those who did not know Zichen were very surprised. Where did this person come from? How could he be so arrogant? "No, you're not Zichen." The king suddenly laughed. "You must be someone else's manifestation, just to scare me, right?" His expression suddenly became icy cold. "Childish, truly childish. Do you really think I'll be scared?" Hearing the king's words, the monk and the others' faces changed. This possibility still existed. Could it be that someone really wanted to use this method to save them? However, without real power and only using Zichen's appearance, this obviously would not work. As long as they made a move, they would be exposed. "Kill him!" The king suddenly waved his hand, signaling everyone to make a move. Those who knew Zichen and knew about Zichen's existence were a little hesitant at this moment, because they could not determine whether this was real or fake. If it was real, it would be a huge crisis. Therefore, each of them had concerns in their hearts. On the other hand, those who did not know Zichen attacked without any scruples. Zichen looked at them, smiled coldly, and then snapped his fingers. His action was like the king just now. Buzz! At this moment, the 5 golden bells in the sky suddenly trembled. Dang! Following the chime of an ancient bell, a forbidding aura descended from the sky onto the group. In the next moment, their bodies disintegrated, leaving only their bones behind. Even their souls were completely obliterated. This scene stunned everyone. "This is impossible." The honorable king shouted again. This time his eyes were filled with shock. To be able to control the 5 great golden bells. This was naturally the real Zichen, because this thing originally belonged to Zichen. Behind him, Xuelin and the rest widened their eyes. At this moment, their hearts were filled with shock. It was all so unbelievable. "Young master." Meow Meow's eyes became moist. She didn't expect the young master to come back at this time. She resisted the urge to give the young master a hug. Behind her, the cloak materialized into a woman. It was Xueshang. She bowed towards Zichen. His cloak was shaking. He was obviously very excited. The 8-headed beast, Scarlet Ape, Cheongqi, and the others were the same. Lin Shui, Wang Xian, Shangguanyu, and the others were also very excited at this moment. The monk wiped his tears and grinned. "I knew Zhang Zeng was lucky enough to not die. Kid, you made it in time." A rare smile appeared on Zhang Haoyan's cold face. If anyone in the world had such an ability, it would naturally be Zichen. You are indeed lucky to be able to live until now. But today, your luck has been used to the limit. Zichen's eyes became cold. Beside him, 2 people looked at each other and prepared to escape. Zichen gently waved his hand. Suddenly, a wave of energy descended from the sky and forced the 2 hidden people out of the space. The 2 monitors' faces changed drastically as they looked at Zichen in shock. "Who allowed the 2 of you to leave?" Zichen glanced at the 2 of them. "Zichen, we are monitors." "So what?" "Monitors are transcendent beings. We are only responsible for monitoring this world. You can't attack us." The fact that Zichen could force them out showed that he had extraordinary combat power. The 2 of them did not dare to threaten him verbally. "Since you are a transcendent being, why are you here? Since you are only responsible for monitoring this world, why are you interfering in this matter?" Zichen glanced at the 2 of them and said coldly, "Do you think I'm stupid?" According to the means of the 2 old men, hiding the monk and the others was not a problem at all, but their hiding place was still exposed. Obviously, the 2 monitors were the ones who contributed the most. As soon as he finished speaking, Zichen stretched out his hand and waved it in front of him. Chi! Suddenly, a ray of light flew forward. This was the mountain-cutting technique, but it was performed with the power of the five forces state. This was a power that transcended this world. Wherever the ray of light passed, the monitor was split into two. He did not even have time to scream before his divine soul was destroyed. A transcendent monitor died, just like that. When the other person saw this, his face turned even paler. He knew that Zichen was strong, but he did not expect him to be this strong. Zichen was forced to leave back then, but he appeared again this time. It was obvious that he had the power to deal with Seuss. This has nothing to do with me. This has nothing to do with me. It's Seuss. Go find him if you can. He shouted in fear, his eyes full of fear. In the entire 10,000 spiritual realm, only Seuss could pose a threat to them. But now there was another person, Zichen. A bunch of frogs at the bottom of a well. Zichen's eyes flashed with disdain. He waved his hand again, and with a chi sound, the second monitor's body was also split into two. The others were dumbfounded. To them, monitors were almost like gods. They had a transcendent status and could manipulate the rules of the world at will. They were completely immortal. But now, two of them were killed in a row. For a moment, everyone's expression changed, and they were terrified. Zichen looked at the others. Initially, he was quite excited and wanted to kill them one by one. After all, these people deserved to die. But now he was no longer in the mood. He just waved his hand. Clang! In the sky, the bell rang again. The light fell, other than the honorable king. The others' bodies disintegrated under the power of the golden bell, and they died. Finally, Zichen looked at the honorable king. The honorable king said coldly, "Now that things have come to this, there's nothing more to say. Just kill me." He did not beg for mercy, and he was quite strong-willed. Zichen said, "Of course you have to die, but I don't want to bully you. How about this, you fight with them? If you win, you can leave." Zichen stepped back, and the 5 golden bells cast a restriction. In the next moment, the impatient tyrant and the others rushed out. Outside the restriction, Zichen said faintly, "If you win, you can leave." Shameless! Zichen, you're shameless. Looking at the murderous crowd, the honorable king was in despair. If it was a one-on-one, there was still a possibility of winning. But now it was a one-on-one battle. How could he win? In the next moment, a powerful energy exploded in the restriction, accompanied by the honorable king's screams. Chapter 5169. The High King was almost hacked to death. He couldn't resist the attacks of the crowd at all. In the end, the monk was the only one who was attacking. He attacked crazily with his saber again and again. Blood splattered all over his body. Wang Xian, and the others had already retreated. After venting their anger, they stopped. "You're lucky to have met Lord Zhang. That's why you can die so easily." The monk attacked last and cut off the High King's head, which was full of holes. Buzz! At the same time, the power of restriction fell from the sky and enveloped the High King's body. The High King's body and soul were all destroyed. There was no possibility of him coming back to life. After that, it was the scene of friends meeting. The monk wanted to go forward and hug Zichen. Looking at the blood-covered monk, Zichen looked at him with disdain. He waved his hand, and the monk flew out. Zichen hugged Wang Xian, Lin Shui, Yiqian, Shangguanyu and the others. Then Miao Miao and Shueshang turned into their human forms and hugged Zichen. "How did you come back, young master?" Miao Miao asked curiously. "I saw Mengyao." Everyone suddenly understood. When they left, they didn't agree with Su Mengyao, but Su Mengyao told them that only she could find Zichen. Everyone could only agree. They didn't expect it to work. Where are we going next? Let's go home first. For a moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on a certain place. Their home was only the Tianwu world. It was just that they had been away from home for many years. Young master, what about Theseus? Meow Meow was a little worried. Chen said coldly, since he didn't keep his word, then don't blame me for not letting him live. When the two old men saw this scene, their faces were filled with relief. Chen had grown again. The group began to turn back. When they arrived outside the Tianwu world, everyone became excited. They hadn't been back for a long time. I wonder how Jolina is now. Yi Qian couldn't help but worry. When they left, Jolina did not follow them. On the one hand, she was very weak. On the other hand, she did not want to abandon the Tianwu world. After all, she was the steward of this world. It was because of her existence that this world could operate in an orderly manner. In Tianwu world, Jolina, who had been busy all day, was preparing to return to her residence. A person blocked her way. It was a handsome man. He looked at Jolina and said with a smile, "It's rare that you're free today. Why don't you have a drink with me?" "I'm tired. I'm going to rest," Jolina said faintly. The man smiled and said, "It just so happens that I'm also tired. Why don't we both rest together?" Jolina rejected him again and walked towards the center of the city. She entered the Jono ancient tree. The man stared at Jolina's graceful body. A cold light flashed in his eyes. "You shameless slut. When the Lord comes back, let's see if you can still maintain your current reserved manner." Then he looked around. "I heard that the original owner of this world had many women, and each one was more exquisite than the last. It's a pity that they ran away early and haven't been found yet. It's a pity. The original Jolina had her own residence. However, after the young ladies left and this place was occupied by others, she lived in the Jono ancient tree. Over the years, she had been harassed a lot. Fortunately, she had Jono, the king, to protect her. After all, the entire Tianwu continent was built with the ancient tree king Jono as the core. After returning to the treehouse, Jolina lay down with a tired face. All these years, if she hadn't firmly believed that Chen would return, she would have given up long ago. Suddenly, Jono sent a strand of information into Jolina's mind. Jolina's eyes flew open. She couldn't believe it. "Are you sure?" At this moment, a tyrannical aura appeared from outside the world. Then the entire Tianwu world began to tremble. It was as if they were welcoming the return of a king. A special emotion began to reverberate throughout the Tianwu world. When the people who lived in this world sensed this aura, their expressions changed. They had never known that the trees in this world had their own emotions. When they walked out of the treehouse and looked up, they saw a group of people appear in the sky. "Who dares to trespass into the world of slavery?" A cold voice rang out from below. Following that, rays of light shot into the sky. After the Tianwu world was occupied by Hu's people, it changed its name. The world of slavery. This meant that everything here was enslaved. When Chen heard this name, he looked at the people who shot into the sky. His eyes grew colder. "Who are you people?" One by one, the figures shot into the sky and stared coldly at Chen and his people. "Remember, this is the Tianwu world." Chen said indifferently, "It can only be the Tianwu world." "You're Chen." Someone in the crowd recognized Chen and immediately cried out in surprise. Then the voices spread. The cries of surprise rose and fell continuously, spreading to every city. Although Chen had been gone for a long time, his name had not been forgotten, especially by the people who had lived here for generations. They remembered him even more, because he was the master of this world. Chen. When the people surrounding Chen heard the cries of surprise, their expressions changed drastically. Of course, they had heard of Chen's deeds. Before he left, he was the #1 person in this world. Other than Hu, no one else could suppress him. "You, didn't you escape?" The person looked at Chen and then looked at the people behind Chen. If he still did not understand what was going on, he would be too stupid. However, the person was not an ordinary person. He suppressed the panic in his heart and said, "Since you're back, did you report to Lord Hugh?" "In this world, everything belongs to Lord Seuss." Zichen said, "After I kill all of you, I'll go find him and settle the score for all these years. I hope that when the time comes, he won't disappoint me." A murderous intent flashed in Zichen's eyes. "Jono, mark all the people in this world who deserve to die." The ancient tree in the center of the world began to sway. Then the message was transmitted. All the big and small trees woke up. Then they began to mark the people who deserved to die one after another through their daily perception. After the marking, their bodies would emit a very eye-catching green light. The man who had previously said that he wanted to sleep with Jolena was the first to bear the brunt of the attack. Looking at his body emitting light, his expression changed drastically. He cursed angrily. "Damn it, what does this have to do with me?" No one listened to his explanation. A ray of light flew from the sky and directly pierced through his mind. The next moment, the green light on his body dissipated, and his life ended at the same time. Then, with Zichen as the center, countless rays of light flew to every corner of the world. All the people who had been marked died in the next moment. At this moment, Zichen's attack covered every corner of the Tianwu world. There were no screams, only extinguished green lights. In an instant, the green light appeared. In the next moment, the green light was extinguished. Chapter 50-170. Countless rays of light fell, and all the marked people died. The Tianwu world was purged. They were all Hugh's men, and they had done a lot of evil over the years. Those ancient trees were all in their eyes. The whole world seemed to have lost its life in an instant. It was silent. Zichen looked at this world and said, "I'm back." In the next moment, this world erupted into enthusiastic cheers. After all, there were many natives here, and they naturally knew Zichen. The tree city below was changing. The tree houses and some buildings were also changing. Soon, it returned to its original appearance many years ago. The group landed in the main city. Zichen saw Jolena. He knew that she had been staying here, guarding the operation of this world. "You've worked hard." Zichen stepped forward and gently hugged Jolena. Jolena was already sobbing. This strong woman finally had someone to rely on. These years she had lived too hard. Yiqian stepped forward and comforted her. This world seemed to have regained its vitality after Zichen's return. Then everyone dispersed and began to familiarize themselves with this world. Zichen returned to the main hall. The two old men, black and white, were already waiting there. They wanted to know the latest news. Zichen told them about the Dharma-breaking city and the realm there. After hearing this, the two of them were extremely shocked. That place is one level higher than the trial realm, and it can accommodate more powerful power. Zichen said, however, after going in, "It's very difficult to come back. Or rather, it's almost impossible to come back. Brady's death back then was purely an accident." "How did you come back?" Balek asked curiously. Zichen said, "I came back with the help of the Black Tower, but I'm not sure if I can still go over." Because of the woman's changing emotions on the 7th floor of the Black Tower, Zichen had some questions he wanted to ask, but he didn't dare to. Therefore, he planned to go and find her after dealing with the matters here. If the Black Tower could really connect the two realms, then to Zichen that would be extremely good news. He no longer had to worry about not having someone he could trust. As long as these people could quickly reach the 3-power state, they would be of help to Zichen. "You made such a big commotion. Will Seuss be in trouble?" Blacklake looked at Zichen worriedly. Zichen shook his head. "It's not a problem. As long as he appears, I'll just kill him." According to his guess, the current Shios was at most in the 3rd strength state. Although this level of cultivation was enough to dominate this place, it was nothing in front of Zichen. He could kill them with a single slap, Since that's the case, do you want to go there personally? Blacklake said. After all, Theseus is currently busy unifying the myriad worlds. He won't be back anytime soon. Once he learns of your return, it will be extremely difficult for him to find you once he knows of your strength and wants to hide. This was obviously a problem. After thinking about it, Zi-chan decided to do it himself. Moreover, time was of the essence. In order to avoid trouble, he immediately disappeared. When the two old men walked out of the hall, they saw Lin Shui waiting outside the door. Blacklake said, "Waiting for Zi-chan." Lin Shui nodded. "He's gone. Gone. He went to find Theseus. I don't know when he'll be back." Lin Shui nodded again. After bowing to the two, she left. Looking at Lin Shui's back and then at the sunlight in the sky, Blacklake smiled. "It's great. Everything is back to normal again." Blacklake nodded. Previously, he was prepared to die in battle. He didn't expect Zi-chan to appear. He couldn't help but sigh. "Is this the will of the heavens?" Blacklake sighed. "Perhaps. Although the heavenly Tao is no longer here, I always feel that the will of the heavens is still here." Zi-chan went to the second realm. As his soul power extended, he found the passage to the third realm. He instantly entered and repeated this process. Every time he arrived at a realm, he would release his soul power and carefully sense the people here to see if Theseus was there. He repeated this process until he finally found Theseus's aura in the 700th world. Swoosh! The next moment he appeared in front of Theseus. At this moment, Theseus was commanding others to try to open a new world. He sensed energy, fluctuations behind him. When he turned around and saw Zi-chan, his expression suddenly changed. "You!" He widened his eyes and looked at Zi-chan in shock. Zi-chan smiled. "Long time no see." Those who were breaking through the restrictions also turned their heads. After seeing Zi-chan, everyone's expression changed. They were the first batch of existences in the trial realm. Naturally, they knew Zi-chan. You! Theseus pointed at Zi-chan, his eyes full of disbelief. According to his soul search on Brady, once Zi-chan went to that place, there was absolutely no chance of him coming back. There was not even a 1 in 10,000 chance. Zi-chan said, "Why didn't you keep your promise?" Theseus still hadn't recovered from the shock. Zi-chan said again, "Actually, you don't have to die. But why didn't you keep your promise? Why did you attack them?" Theseus's eyes flashed. Then he shouted, "Why? You want to kill me? Can you kill me?" As he spoke, he retreated and released his aura. Triple strength state. After his aura erupted, the entire world trembled. All the living beings prostrated themselves on the ground, unable to withstand this pressure. The others immediately retreated. In their eyes, Theseus's aura was as terrifying as a storm. Once they got close, they would be killed by the storm. "Your plan is not bad." Zi-chan looked at the world entrance and waved his hand gently. The next moment, the world entrance shattered and the passage between the two worlds was opened. Theseus's pupils constricted. This was something he could not do. It seemed that Zi-chan was stronger than he had imagined. "I also agree with your idea. At this time, opening the myriad worlds may not be a bad thing." Zi-chan looked at Theseus. "However, you shouldn't have broken your promise. You shouldn't have attacked my friends." Zi-chan's eyes became extremely cold. "You could have gotten a helper, but because of your betrayal, you killed yourself." Buzz! Light flew out from Theseus's body. It was the path sword. It quickly swept past Theseus's neck. With a puff, Theseus's head left his body. In the next moment, the path sword erupted with a powerful aura. It was like a restriction storm that raged in front of him. In this restriction, Theseus's corpse was destroyed endlessly. In the distance, everyone who saw this scene was dumbfounded. A monitor had died just like that? How powerful was Zi-chan? Zi-chan looked at the people in the distance and said, "Continue." Soon, Someone will come to take over Theseus's job. After saying that, Zi-chun turned around and left. On the way here, he had already thought it through. He would continue to connect the myriad worlds. If Theseus had not betrayed him and attacked his friends and family, he would not have cared about the threat back then. He returned to the Tianwu world. After he returned, Lin Shui came over. Chapter 5171. What? Shui Wu disappeared. Zi-chen looked at Lin Shui with a surprised expression. Meng Yao had never told him about this. After Shui Wu and Lei Tianshi returned, they spent most of their time with Su Meng Yao. Their combat strength was extraordinary and they were very special. They could protect Su Meng Yao. Everyone else thought that Shui Wu left with sister. Actually, they didn't, they disappeared. Lin Shui, Su Meng Yao, and Zi-chen came from the same sect. Among everyone present, they were the three closest to each other. Zi-chen asked, Meng Yao didn't say why. Sister tried to divine, but there was no result. But she can guarantee that Shui Wu is still alive. Previously, Zi-chen had been to hundreds of worlds, and his soul power had been probing, but he didn't sense a familiar aura. But where did Shui Wu go? Could it be? Zi-chen raised his head and stared at the sky. A guess appeared in his mind. Broke through the sky and left? After all, Shui Wu's background was extraordinary. He was suspected to be from the immortal spell world. But the passage between the immortal spell world and the saint spirit world had long been closed after Gushan. How did Shui Wu leave? Soon, Zi-chen remembered something. He left the room and went to the Thunder spirit world. This was originally a world within a world. It had always been open to the public, mainly for those who cultivated soul power. Tianwu world used ancient trees as the foundation, and here, green bamboo as the foundation. When Zi-chen arrived, he found that this place was extremely dilapidated and the soul power was severely damaged. Fortunately, the little fairy that came back with him was still there. It was just that no one had taken care of this place for many years, so it became like this. However, in Zi-chen's perception, there was an extremely pure and surging soul power underground. All the energy was in a hidden state, but it was not activated. As long as Zi-chen was willing, he could restore this place to its original state with just a thought. Where are the two spiritual bodies I left here? Zi-chen called out the little fairy that was in a deep sleep. Those two spiritual bodies were left behind by the Saint Zi-chen. They were the remnant souls of Lei Tianshi and Lei Di. They had never awakened. So Zi-chen left them here to be nurtured. Gone. The little fairy's reply made Zi-chen's expression change. He asked, "Why is it gone?" "I don't know. Is there anything you don't know?" "I'm not sure." They didn't show any signs of waking up, but they suddenly disappeared. Before Zi-chen left, this place had already been restored to its original state. Next, he would discuss with Jolina to see if they should continue to open up this place. He then went to look for the two old men, black and white, and told them that it was actually possible to connect the infinite worlds. Thus, Black Lake volunteered to leave it to him. It was rare for them to return home, so everyone was in a good mood. Thus, they gathered together for a drink. After the banquet was over, Zi-chen sat alone in a daze. "Young master, is there something on your mind?" Miao Miao, who had left, turned back. Zi-chen shook his head. It wasn't that he didn't want to say it, but he didn't know how to say it. Miao Miao said, "It's naturally a great blessing for you to be able to return this time. If you have any doubts, perhaps you can try your luck in the Black Tower." Zi-chen did have this plan, but that woman was not easy to deal with. He didn't want to be kicked out before he could say anything. You are the person chosen by Gushan. No matter what happens, you should be able to turn misfortune into blessing. After saying that, Miao Miao left, but before leaving, she winked at Zi-chen. Zi-chen understood what Miao Miao meant. Instead of worrying here, it was better to ask in person. Even if that woman had a bad temper, she still had to give Gushan some face, right? After saying that, Zi Chen's figure disappeared. He once again came to the 7th floor of the Black Tower. The environment in front of him was the same as before, and the wooden door was closed. Zi Chen hesitated whether to go forward or not. Soon, he made up his mind and stepped forward. Before he could get close, the wooden door opened by itself. The woman leaned against the door again and looked at Zi Chen. "That coquettish fox is very good to you." The other party was naturally referring to Miao Miao. If it weren't for her reminder, Zi Chen wouldn't have the courage to knock on the door. This reminded Zi Chen of the scene when he first met Miao Miao. It seemed that their residence was somewhat similar. They were both wooden houses, but the environment was different. Could it be that they already knew each other? "I have some questions to ask you, Senior." Zi Chen quickly changed the topic. A touch of disdain flashed in the woman's eyes, but she didn't expose Zi Chen's little trick. "Speak." Zi Chen immediately asked, "Can I still go back?" The woman said, "If you can't go back, won't you lose your little lover?" This was a definite answer for Zi Chen. This made Zi Chen's eyes light up, and he asked again, "Can I bring some friends back?" The woman said, "The door is right there. You can bring whoever you want." As she pointed somewhere, a second door appeared there. "But don't disturb me, or you know the consequences." Zi Chen nodded and repeatedly said no. But he didn't leave. Obviously, there was a third question. "If you have something to ask, ask quickly. I'm sleepy." The woman said impatiently, "Can I bring my world with me?" Even the woman was stunned by this question. She seemed to be surprised by Zi Chen's brain circuit. He wasn't satisfied with bringing some people over, and he even wanted to bring an entire world over. Of course, she had seen Zi Chen's world, so the woman couldn't answer this question at the moment, but she obviously wouldn't admit that she couldn't answer. She looked at Zi Chen coldly. "Do you have the ability to protect this world now?" Zi Chen thought for a while and shook his head. With his current 7 strength state, he would definitely live a good life outside. But once he brought the world over, it would naturally attract more attention. At that time, if the 9 strength state knew about it, it would be a great trouble. The woman said with a look of disdain, "Since you don't have the ability, why are you asking such nonsense? Do you think my time is not important?" With that, she closed the door. At this moment, there were 2 doors. One led to the Sky Martial Continent, and the other led to the Lawbreaker world. Zi Chen returned to the Sky Martial Continent. He still had some things to deal with. After that, he called everyone together and told them about the situation in the Lawbreaker world. Everyone was shocked when they heard it, and when they found out that Zi Chen was going to bring them over, they were all extremely excited. I don't know what the situation will be like after we reach the Lawbreaker world. So this time, I will only bring a few people. The rest will continue to stay here. Zi Chen looked at Jolina. She hadn't advanced to the demon realm yet, and was the weakest among everyone present. "Hurry up and break through. When your realm is high enough, I will bring you to the Lawbreaker world to develop." Zi Chen had his own business in that world and needed someone as capable as Jolina to help him. Jolina nodded. Thus, Zi Chen temporarily decided on 5 people. Chapter 5172. Zi Chen's choice was purposeful. He had to be at least in the Heaven's Choice realm, because when he entered the Lawbreaker realm, he was in this realm. If his realm was low, Zi Chen was worried that it would be dangerous. Moreover, he didn't think that the process would be smooth when they entered. Previously, Zi Chen didn't want to call the monk. After all, there were many other suitable people. The 8-headed demon, Cheong Chi, monster refining king, and so on. These early demons had already reached the Heaven's Choice realm, but they couldn't stand the monk's howls, which made Zi Chen's head hurt. The 5 of them prepared, and Zi Chen led them into the Black Tower. As for the Saint Spirit realm, because of his return, Zi Chen didn't care how much of a commotion there was. Hugh was dead, and there was no one else who could threaten the Tianwu world. When they returned to the 7th floor, because of Zi Chen's instructions, they were very quiet. Miao Miao glanced at the treehouse, and an indescribable emotion flashed in her eyes. Zi Chen quickly stepped forward and opened another door. In front of the door was the turbulence of the Milky Way. Zi Chen stepped forward and walked in. This was because he had absolute trust in that woman. Otherwise, who knew where he would be after walking out of here? After passing through the turbulence, Zi Chen's eyes lit up. He found that he had returned to Su Mengyao's room. Beside him, Su Mengyao stood up and looked at Zi Chen. Zi Chen didn't have time to explain. He dodged in time and waited. No one came out. This made his expression change. Where was she? He thought to himself. He was careless. He should have asked the monk to go in first. Just as Zi Chen was about to go back and take a look, a light suddenly appeared. This was a galaxy of stars that constantly rotated, and in the middle of the Milky Way stood a person. This is... Su Mengyao looked at this scene in shock. The light released by the galaxy was extremely dazzling. At first glance, there was a feeling of fireworks lingering in the air. Seeing this, Zi Chen breathed a sigh of relief. This is the rule of this world. As long as you come here, you have to go through this first. Then, rays of light appeared one after another. There were exactly 5 of them. Zi Chen heaved a sigh of relief. All that was left was to wait. He just didn't know how long he would have to wait. This was because he could not determine how long he had been lost in the galaxy. They did not have to wait for long. The light around the monk was the first to disappear. However, he was still walking in circles on the spot. His mind was a little muddled. Only after a dozen laps did he slowly come back to his senses. Where is this? The monk looked around before looking at himself. The once powerful energy had disappeared and was replaced by a light of power that revolved around his body. Zi Chen said, "This is the Lawbreaker realm." The name was given by Zi Chen himself. He felt that it was quite appropriate. After a while, Miao Miao, Xuelin, and the others woke up one by one. They had all reached the One-Force realm, which was the lowest realm here. Looking at their own situation, they were all very surprised. When they looked at Su Mengyao again, their expressions changed again. That was because the aura that Su Mengyao was currently emitting made them feel fear. Obviously, they were no longer in the same realm. Seeing that they were all unharmed, Zi Chen was relieved. He had a lot of people to rely on now. Before that, he needed to explain the situation of this world to them. Su Mengyao pulled Xuelin and led them out of the room. Then they saw a barren land and a towering mine. It was completely different from what they had imagined. Su Mengyao told them that with their current strength, they were not qualified to enter the Lawbreaker city. The only qualification they had was to mine. This made the monk mumble to himself. As the #1 expert of the Saint Spirit realm, of course, this title was given by himself. How could he be satisfied with the fate of mining after coming here? After showing them around, Su Mengyao gave them some resources, hoping that they could break through quickly. They took the resources and started to refine them. Su Mengyao looked at this scene and felt very emotional. This was really a case of the ancestors planting a tree for the descendants to enjoy the shade. How difficult was it for Zi Chen to come here in the first place? Resources and realms were all accumulated bit by bit, and he had experienced many dangers. But these people could enjoy the ready-made resources right now. Clanking sounds came from outside. Miao Pengfei had already arranged for others to start building a house for the monk and the others. Zi Chen returned to the Lawbreaker city alone. He had other things to take care of. When he came to the Hall of Spiritual Spells, Michi had already delivered a lot of black stones. He had also traded some to Duanai. Zi Chen asked Milia if there was any trouble recently. She told him that there was no trouble. After sending a part of the black stones to the Soul Mountain, Zi Chen returned to the outside world. Miao Pengfei was very efficient. When Ziqin came back, the house was already built. The monk and the others were living in it. Miao Pengfei did not ask about these people's background. Ziqin went to find Zhang Haoyan. To his surprise, he found that Zhang Haoyan had broken through. Second realm. Let's go. I'll take you to a place. Ziqin brought Zhang Haoyan to the killing crystal mine. The killing crystal mine was filled with murderous intent. These murderous intents were no doubt good things for Zhang Haoyan. When the two arrived outside the mine, Ziqin said, "If everything goes well, you can cultivate here." After entering the mine, Zhang Haoyan's expression changed immediately. What a strong murderous intent. His expression became serious. "What's in here?" "A kind of killing crystal. It can release murderous intent. It might be useful for you." When they were halfway there, Ziqin shouted, "Yuan Sha." A strong murderous intent came from the ground. Yuan Sha appeared in front of the two. He looked at Ziqin and then at Zhang Haoyan. He frowned and said, "Why? You want to take the killing crystal away again?" The killing crystal was the killing crystal. Ziqin shook his head and said, "Come and see. Is it okay for my brother Zhang Haoyan to stay here and cultivate?" Yuan Sha looked at Zhang Haoyan and said, "The murderous intent here is strong. Can you bear it?" Zhang Haoyan nodded indifferently. This was his usual style. Only in front of Ziqin would his expression soften. Even in front of the monk, he would not be happy. "All right then, come with me." Yuan Sha agreed. Ziqin patted Zhang Haoyan's shoulder and said, "Cultivate well here. I've survived several dangers here. This place is a good place for me to start." Zhang Haoyan nodded and then followed Yuan Sha into the depths of the mine. Ziqin returned and looked at the monk and the others. They had already adapted to this place. Next, they just had to wait for them to break through. Since there was no danger, Ziqin decided to bring the others here to cultivate. In this way, his force here could grow quickly. Chapter 5173. Ziqin returned to the Tianwu world once again. This time, he wanted to bring the others back with him. This included Jono. He walked out of the ancient tree and transformed into his human form. The queen ant appeared from the ground and transformed into a beautiful woman. She wore a pitch-black dress that accentuated her graceful figure. The mutant nest also transformed into its human form and walked out. She was wearing a 7-color dress. Other than Jolina, Ziqin's trusted friends would follow him to the Lawbreaker realm this time. Even the little elf in the Thunder Spirit realm was taken away by Ziqin. However, Ziqin didn't know what form they would take. Ziqin came to the Black Tower and signaled everyone not to disturb the woman. The 8-headed beast, Qiongqi, and Shueshang were very curious about this place. After all, they used to stay on the lower level. After entering the Lawbreaker realm, there was a long wait until everyone appeared. Other than the little elf who had transformed into a child, the others didn't change much. Including the demon ape, they all appeared in their human forms. The 8-headed beast, bone eagle, Qiongqi, and the others were also in their human forms. After coming to this world, everyone's first task was to familiarize themselves with this place. Many buildings had been built around them for them to live in. Ziqin discovered that other than Su Mengyao, no one else could see the shadow destroyers who appeared nearby. After dealing with the peripheral matters, Ziqin went back alone. When he arrived at his residence, he found that the gate had collapsed again. The walls and courtyard had also been damaged. The mansion was almost ruined. Those maids hid in the corner, shivering. After seeing Ziqin appear, they all dared to come out. What happened? Ziqin looked at them with anger in his eyes. Someone came and tore this place down without saying a word. In fact, these maids were also confused. "Are you hurt?" Ziqin looked at them. Everyone shook their heads. They were just frightened, but their lives weren't in danger. "Following me has made you suffer." Chen took out some black stones and gave one to each of them. If you want to stay, you can continue to live here. If you don't want to stay, you can go to the Hall of Magic and find Milia. She will arrange new jobs for you. This piece of black stone was worth at least 2,000 strands of energy. To them, this was definitely a huge sum. One by one, they expressed their gratitude. This caused Chen to feel very embarrassed, because the reason why they were like this was all because of him. He left the mansion and went to Spirit Spell Hall number 4. He found that the door was wide open, but everyone was outside and no one went in. As Chen approached, he heard some whispers. Someone had come and beat up the people inside the Hall of Spiritual Spells. They had even stopped them from entering. Lord Chen! When someone saw Chen, he shouted and hurriedly stepped aside. Then the crowd parted to the sides. Chen walked forward with a gloomy face. After entering the Hall of Spiritual Spells, Chen saw that everyone in the shop was kneeling there with bruises all over their faces, including Milia. And at the very front sat 2 people. They crossed their legs and looked down at the crowd. Chen walked to the door. When he saw this scene, he couldn't help but narrow his eyes. Murderous intent surged. There was a shadow at the door. The 2 turned their heads and saw Chen. One of them said, "You are Chen? You have some guts. You dare to do business with us, Shadow Destroyers?" Chen said coldly, "Pseudo-Shadow Destroyer? You are courting death." The other party's expression immediately turned cold. After all, compared to Chen, their identity as Shadow Destroyers was indeed a little out of place. Chen couldn't be bothered with them. He waved at Milia and the others, indicating that they should get up quickly. "Did I say you could move?" The other party glanced at Milia and the others. Then, murderous intent filled the air. Everyone shuddered and knelt there again. "My name is Sala. This time, I have come to inform you of a few things." Sala looked at Chen and said coldly, "If you dare to refuse, you will wait for the Shadow Destroyers to come out and destroy your properties one by one. As for you, of course, you will not be alive." He coughed softly and said, "Listen carefully. We want 90% of your soul stone veins for free. Not a single cent less." Chen looked at the 2. "This is why you came out." Sala smiled coldly. "Of course. If this is your purpose, why did you destroy my mansion? Why did you attack them? Why did you affect my business?" Chen's eyes gradually turned cold. "Of course, this is to teach you a lesson and also a warning. If you don't know what's good for you, this is just the beginning. There will be more things you don't want to happen next." Sala said, "So if you are smart enough, you should know what to do. You first destroyed my mansion, then beat up my people, and now you want to take my things for free?" Chen was amused. "This is asking for a favor? Where is your shame?" Sarah said indifferently, "You are mistaken. This is not asking you to do something. This is a warning to you. You can take it as a warning to you." Chen looked at Sala. "On what basis?" Sala snorted. "On the basis that we are the masters of this place. On the basis of our strength. Who do you think you are to bargain with us?" He stood up and released his aura. He was in the 7th strength realm. "Do you think a 7th strength realm Shadow Destroyer is qualified to teach you how to behave?" Sala smiled coldly. "If not, what about the 2 of you?" The other person besides Sala also stood up and released the aura of a 7th strength realm Shadow Destroyer. Previously, Du and I had said that there were no 7th strength realm Shadow Destroyers. Last time, there were only 4 6th strength realm Shadow Destroyers. Could it be that he had just broken through? Chen looked around and said, "This place is too small. Why don't we talk outside?" Without waiting for their response, Chen walked out. At this moment, he was almost unable to suppress his murderous intent. The surrounding crowd immediately dispersed. They could all see that things were not going well. "Reckless fool. Do you think you can fight 1 against 2? Sarah followed him out, and his gaze swept the surroundings as he said, "All of you open your eyes wide and look properly. This reckless idiot has disobeyed our orders time and time again. Now, I'll let all of you see the consequences of disobeying us." Sala looked at Zichin and said, "If you regret it now, I can give you a chance to turn over a new leaf. Kneel down, admit your mistake, and this matter will be over. From now on, listen to our orders and be a good dog." Zichen's response was a slash, mountain cutting technique. This was an attack combined with the rules of this place. Everyone only saw a blur before the light reached Sala. Chapter 5174. Sala's body was split into two. Exclamations came from all around. No one expected the battle to happen in an instant. Moreover, in an instant, life and death were determined. But soon they realized that Sala's split body did not have any blood flowing out. Like a phantom, it scattered and disappeared. It was just a wisp of identity. The real body had disappeared. "You're courting death." Seeing this, the other person's figure flashed and disappeared as well. Sala still did not appear. Zichin stood there and looked at the empty space in front of him. The shadow rule is not used like this. He stood there without moving, but everyone saw that two rays of light flew out from Zichen's body. Like two shadows, they suddenly rushed into two empty spaces. Puff! Puff! The two people who were trying to hide and attack Zichin appeared. There was a bloody hole in each of their chests. After they appeared, their eyes were filled with shock. They looked at Zichin in disbelief. "This is the last time. Cherish this chance to live." Zichin said coldly, "Get lost." Sala did not appreciate it and shouted, "Zichin, you dare to offend your superiors!" Before he could finish his words, Zichen's attack arrived. It was a ray of light. In an instant, it arrived in front of Sala and swept past his neck. Puff! Sala covered his neck with his other hand and retreated. After retreating 3 steps, his head was separated from his body. This time he could not avoid it. Blood spurted out from his neck. After falling to the ground, Sala was dead. Seeing this, the other person's face changed. For the first time, fear appeared in his eyes. Zichin glanced at him. "This is your last chance." The other person nodded. He did not even care about Sala's corpse and turned to run. After the other person left, Zichin frowned. Logically speaking, he had taught them a lesson last time. If these people were smart, they would not come looking for trouble. Zichin took away Sala's things. Soon, someone came out of the Hall of Spiritual Spells and took care of Sala's corpse. The surroundings returned to normal, and the Hall of Spiritual Spells was open as usual. However, when the passers-by looked at Zichin, their eyes were still filled with fear. A 7th strength realm cultivator was killed just like that. Sarah was dead and Norman ran back alone. Even now, when he recalled that scene, his heart was still filled with fear. Zichen's usage of the rule of shadow was untraceable. He was much more adept at it than they were. After returning, Norman sensed what had happened outside. When he learned that Sarah had been killed in an instant, Martin's expression changed. "My lord, it's too difficult to kill Zichin with the strength of the 7th realm," Norman said. "Only someone in the 8th-level state could do that." Martin shook his head and said, "No, an 8th-level state cultivator will anger Jihong. Now is not the time to fall out with them." "Then what should we do?" Norman said. "Those soulstone veins are all with Zichin." Speaking of this, Martin's expression became increasingly ugly. "Those idiots can't even find the mineral vein. They had already sent people out to search, but until now they had found nothing." Then he waved his hand and said, "Let's buy them first. Let's leave those resources with Zichin. When we gather more powerhouses, we'll catch them all in one fell swoop." Yes, Norman left. I wonder if the legend is true. Is there really another space passage? Are the ancestors of the spell breakers living in it? Martin's eyes were filled with anticipation. I hope it works. After Norman left, he went to look for Du and I. He said that he needed more soul stones, the more the better. For this, they took out a very generous amount of resources. Du and I came out with these resources and, at the same time, informed them of the attitude inside. Sarah's death this time. Everyone acted as if it had never happened. Du and I also indirectly told them that no one would come looking for trouble with Zichen in the short term. Zichen's mansion began to be renovated. The resources consumed were also compensated by Du and I. After that, Zichen stayed in the mansion to cultivate and did not care about anything else. As for the resources that everyone needed for cultivation, Zichen had already sent them out. The entire Dharma City had a rare moment of peace. No one came looking for trouble. Blackstones were continuously shipped in from outside Dharma City. These were of high grades. Zichen kept them for himself to refine. The rest were sold to Du and I, while the rest were sent to the Soul Mountain for the Shadow Destroyers. Not long after, good news came. Xiao Wei had found a second mine outside of shattering Fa City. Her mission after coming out was to gather the scattered Shadow Destroyers and find the Blackstone vein. Now, she finally found something. This was undoubtedly good news. Su Mengyao had already arranged for people to go to that place and prepare to mine. Su Mengyao had gradually taken over the outside matters. There was a knock on the door. Zichen opened his eyes in the room. Du and I was standing outside the door. Why are you here? Zichen was a little surprised. Du and I was always doing business with Maria. He had not seen Du and I for about a year. I'm here to tell you something. Du and I said, Do you know why the people inside haven't come looking for trouble after so long? Zichen shook his head. They were definitely not scared by him. Duni's expression was a little serious. My lord said that they are trying to open a passage, so they have no time to care about this place. Passage? Zichen was taken aback. What passage? The Ascension platform. He had seen the Ascension platform when he went into the depths. When it was complete, it could go directly to the immortal spell realm. Du and I shook his head. No, it said that it's a passage to another realm. They said that they accidentally found some ancient law information. Through the content, they are looking for the passage to another realm. Zichen asked, What's in the passage? No one knows. My lord doesn't know either. He doesn't even know if the passage really exists. Du and I said, I came to find you because my lord told you to hurry up and cultivate. Which lord? Eugene? Lord Eugene told me. As for who told him, I don't know. Zichen sent Du and I away. His expression gradually became serious. He was sure that Ji Hong, who was at the 9 Strengths realm, had asked Eugene to pass the message. Ji Hong definitely knew Gashan. He was a very ancient existence. He just did not know how long he had been in this world and how many secrets he knew about this place. But since Ji Hong had passed the message, then he had to speed up his cultivation. Perhaps there would be some danger when the passage opened. Other things aside, as the master of the Black Stone Vein, he would definitely be in danger. So Zichen did not care about anything else. He began to refine the Black Stone and cultivate. He wanted to break through to the 8 Strengths realm before the danger came. In the depths, the attention of the radicals was on the opening of the passage. As for the pseudo-shadow destroyers, they were busy refining the Black Stone and refining the shadow rule from before. Chapter 5175. Ever since Zichen entered Pofa City, such peaceful times were extremely rare. No one disturbed him as he refined the black stones one by one. Occasionally, Du and I would come out and tell him about the situation inside. Monk, Devil Ape, and the rest had reached the 6 Powers realm in a short span of 10 years with the help of many resources. Under Su Mingyao's arrangement, they appeared in some important positions and helped Zichen manage the distribution of resources. Zi Chen's few black stone veins were all very profitable, but he also had to take care of the cultivation of those shadow destroyers. Du and I came out again and told Zi Chen that those spellbreakers had found 3 suspected passageways. After opening them, they found that they were already damaged. Currently, they had found a 4th and were trying to open it. He reminded Zi Chen that the real passageway would open sooner or later and asked him to be careful. Once those spellbreakers were free, the first person they would deal with would most likely be Zi Chen. After Du and I left, Zi Chen relayed the news to Su Mengyao. After a discussion, the two decided to bring all the shadow destroyers out of Pofa City. Once Zi Chen was in danger, no one would help them deliver resources. Then, their cultivation would stagnate again. Zi Chen did not go. This time, it was Xiaowei who led the way. Miao Miao was the leader, while Devil Ape, Monk, and the rest followed behind. They were mainly in charge of reaching the depths. Next, Xiaowei would go to Soul Mountain alone and bring them out. Xiaowei was now a 6 powers realm cultivator. She had the shadow rule and was good at hiding. After Xiaowei returned, she told everyone about the current situation. After the old man nodded in agreement, everyone followed them out. They left the place they relied on for survival. After coming out, everyone looked around curiously. Even though it was night, it did not affect their excitement. After that, the 2 parties met and escorted everyone out of Pofa City. Fortunately, the spellbreakers had no time to care about these people. Otherwise, a battle would have broken out. Zhang Haotian had been cultivating in the killing crystal mine for more than 10 years. He continued to absorb the killing intent here. To others, this was used to refine weapons, but he used it to refine his body, cultivate, and break through. If Zi Chan were here, he would find that this place was no longer the same as before. The area of the underground mine was even larger, and some caves were built. It was like an underground world, going down layer by layer. The spirit of slaughter was in the deepest part of the spirit of slaughter. Yuan Sha had brought Zhang Haotian there once, but halfway there he couldn't take it anymore. Thus he retreated. There was a huge crystal in the place where he cultivated. It looked like a door. Killing intent continuously surged out from within. Buzz! Suddenly, a surge of killing intent gushed out, instantly enveloping the surroundings. Zhang Haotian felt a bone-piercing sensation. It was as if there were countless rays of sword light invading his body, straight into his bones. He continued to sit cross-legged without moving, allowing the killing intent to linger around him. He tempered his body with killing intent. A person walked out from the crystal. He glanced at Zhang Haotian, who was cultivating, then looked around before turning to leave. This was a door that could be entered and exited. A moment later, the killing intent weakened, and Zhang Haotian opened his eyes. This is the second one. It was rare for 2 people to come out in one day. When he first came, Zi Chan told him that Yuan Sha lived here and that there were many killing crystals here. After he really cultivated here, he knew that Yuan Sha wasn't the only one here. As time passed, there were more and more people. Footsteps sounded. Zhang Haotian turned his head and saw Yuan Sha walking over. Your progress is obviously slower here. Follow me to the next level. Zhang Haotian stood up and followed Yuan Sha to the next level. Halfway through, Zhang Haotian found that some places were different from a few months ago, so he asked, "Don't you guys plan to go out?" There were many caves here, and the people who came out all lived here. It's good to live here. Yuan Sha said, "The killing intent here is very suitable for us, spirits of slaughter, just like the spiritual lands where others live." Yuan Sha had long told Zhang Haotian that they belonged to the spirits of slaughter. This was a very unique group. When they came to the next level, the killing intent here was indeed more abundant, but it was still 2 levels away from the depths of the ground where the spirits of slaughter lived. Eugene came to Ji Hong's residence, where he was drinking tea. Eugene entered the room and saluted Ji Hong with his hands folded. Ji Hong asked, "How is it?" Sir, Zi-chan hasn't broken through yet. Eugene really didn't understand why Sir paid so much attention to Zi-chan, but didn't allow him to go out personally. Instead, he had Du and I ask about Zi-chan every time. Did you bring any resources out? Yes, Du and I brought all the resources out, but there was no effect. Ji Hong tapped the wooden table with his fingers and couldn't help but frown. Is it because of his identity as a shadow destroyer? Eugene said it's possible. After all, Zi-chan represents the upper limit of the shadow destroyer realm here. Before Zi-chan broke through to the 7-strength realm, there were no 7-strength false shadow destroyers here. But after Zi-chan broke through, the original 6-strength realm broke through in less than 3 days. In the next dozen years, those 7-strength realm cultivators stopped again. None of them broke through. Time is tight. This is the only way. Ji Hong had an extra item in his hand. It was a black stone that looked exactly like the soul stone outside, but it was brighter. From afar, it looked like a real and complete rule. The moment it appeared in Ji Hong's hand, a soul storm seemed to form around it. Eugene's expression suddenly changed. He felt uncomfortable in his head. Fortunately, Ji Hong quickly sealed it with energy, and the uncomfortable feeling disappeared. Sir, this is... He looked at the stone in shock. Ji Hong said, I got it a few years ago. It's related to the Shadow Destroyer clan. Have someone give it to Zi-chan and let him refine it as soon as possible. It's best if he can break through to the 8-strength realm in one go. Yes. Eugene stepped forward and took the black stone with both hands. After Eugene left, Ji Hong took out 6 crystals and placed them in several places. One of them was very bright. It was at the back. As for the other 2, the light they emitted was much dimmer. As for the remaining 3, they were dim and lightless. He looked at the crystals in strange positions. His expression grew more solemn. He murmured, back then we had the Soul Killer clan to suppress the outlawed spirit demons. Who can we rely on this time? At this moment, if a spellbreaker was here, he would be able to tell at a glance that the crystals represented the places where they had found the mysterious channel. The 3 dim crystals represented 3 channels that had been destroyed. The 4th crystal was the one they were trying to open. Chapter 5176. Zi-chan looked at the black stone in front of him in shock. It contained extremely pure soul power. He didn't need to deliberately sense it. The soul power kept overflowing. But what really moved him was the appearance of the black stone after the restriction was broken. It was like a complete rule, emitting a bright black light. Du and I left after delivering the item, saying that Sir asked him to bring it over. This Sir was Eugene, but Zi-chan knew that it was actually Ji Hong's instruction. Since Eugene wanted him to break through so urgently, he must have felt a strong sense of danger. So, Zi-chan began to refine this strange black stone. As the energy contained in the black stone entered his body, Zi-chan felt as if he was in the middle of countless shadow rules. Here, he could be in close contact with the shadow rules, so his progress was very fast. Asterisk, 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 boom! Under the joint efforts of a group of spellbreakers, the 4th passage was finally opened. An aura that didn't belong to this world surged out from the passage. Everyone burst into cheers excitedly, but after waiting for a while, no one else came out. Martin, go inside and take a look. A spellbreaker spoke. Martin, who was in the 8-level state, walked in. In Ji Hong's room, the luster of the 4th crystal dimmed. He knew that another passage had opened. Only 2 left. He looked at the last 2 crystals, and his expression became unprecedentedly solemn. There's not much time left. Ji Hong put away the 2 crystals. Martin walked out of the passage. Sir, there's no one inside. It's still empty. The 9-level state's face became extremely gloomy. Damn it, is there an extra-legal spirit demon or not? The others' faces were also very gloomy. They inadvertently found information about the extra-legal spirit demon and followed the information to find the passage. But when they opened one, it was empty. When they opened another, it was empty. This was already the fourth passage. This made them almost lose confidence, and they were worried that the extra-legal spirit demon was just a legend. Although they were depressed, they didn't stop and continued to find the next passage according to the information. About half a month later, they found the fifth passage and continued to try to open it. In the mansion where Zi Chen was, a powerful aura suddenly emerged. The first to sense this aura were the maids in the mansion. They instantly collapsed to the ground, and their breathing became difficult. That aura was as terrifying as the might of the heavens. They who were only in the third realm of strength could not resist at all. It was as if doomsday had arrived. Fortunately, this aura disappeared as quickly as it came. If it wasn't for the palpitations in their hearts, they would have thought that it was an illusion. Zi Chen walked out of the room. That black stone allowed him to smoothly break through to the 8-force state. However, at this moment, his aura had already been completely restrained. Back then, Ji Hong had said that after reaching this level, he could go to the depths to find him. Therefore, Zi Chen didn't waste any time. As soon as he broke through, he headed straight for the depths. When they arrived at the entrance, Eugene was already waiting there. He welcomed Zi Chen inside. He followed Eugene to Ji Hong's residence. Eugene closed the door and left. Ji Hong gestured for Zi Chen to sit down and poured a cup of tea for Zi Chen. "Senior, why are you in such a hurry? Is something going to happen?" Zi Chen asked after sitting down. Ji Hong said, "The extra-legal spirit devil is about to appear." The extra-legal spirit devil? Zi Chen was slightly startled. He had only heard of the extra-legal spirit devil. It was roughly equivalent to the trial realm, or at most the heaven-chosen realm. Using the realms of this world as an example, it was at most the first strength state. How could such an existence be worth the worry of a 9th strength state cultivator? Ji Hong sighed. The reason why the rules of this world are broken and incomplete is because of the extra-legal spirit devil. What? Zi Chen's expression changed. He remembered that the elder of the Soul Mountain had said that the shadow destroyers were destroyed by the lawbreakers. He had never mentioned the extra-legal spirit devil. Looking at Zi Chen's shocked expression, Ji Hong said, "Back then this world was controlled by 2 races. One was the shadow destroyers, and the other was the slayer race." Zi Chen knew about the shadow destroyers, but Zi Chen had never heard of the slayer race. However, for some reason, he suddenly thought of Yuan Sha. Zi Chen did not interrupt and quietly listened to Ji Hong. The lawbreakers back then were considered invaders. Apart from them, there were also the extra-legal spirit devils. Their purpose in coming to this world was to snatch the ascension platform and to go to the 10,000 spirit world through here. Zi Chen asked, why would they go to the 10,000 spirit world? To destroy or enslave. Ji Hong said, "Of course, I think the former is more likely, because the extra-legal spirit devils are not only powerful, they are also very proud. They do not allow the 10,000 spirit world to exist." Why? It has to do with the origin of life. Ji Hong said, they call themselves the children of God. They are different from the immortal Tao cultivators who grew up on their own. The 2 sides have been fighting in the immortal Tao world. In the end, this fight extended to the lower realm. Zi Chen said, could it be that the immortal Tao world's passage was forcibly closed by the extra-legal spirit devils? Ji Hong shook his head. No, it was Gushan who destroyed it. What? Zi Chen's expression changed again. The immortal Tao world's passage was destroyed by Gushan? He destroyed the entire 10,000 spirit world, causing everyone to be unable to ascend for so many years. This news was undoubtedly explosive to Zi Chen. According to what Gushan said, the immortal Tao world was defeated in a great battle. if they did not forcibly destroy the passage between the immortal Tao world and the lower realm. The god spirits would cross over and destroy the 10,000 spirit world. Once the 10,000 spirit world was destroyed, all life in this world would cease to exist. He did this to leave a spark for the immortal Tao world. When the time was right, he would enter the immortal Tao world again. This was the real secret. In the entire 10,000 spirit world, only Jihong knew about it. Although Gushan destroyed the passage, the god spirits still opened a path beyond the heavens and sent some extra-legal spirit devils here. They were prepared to use this passage to kill their way into the 10,000 spirit world. Jihong sighed and said, but they did not expect that there were not only shadow destroyers here, but also the soul-slaying clan. Both sides fought a war of extermination. In the end, the outlaw spirit demon was sealed, the outland road was broken, and the soul-slaying clan was completely annihilated. Not a single shadow destroyer was left, and the spellbreakers were almost all dead. Although Zichen did not see it with his own eyes, he could imagine the horror of that great battle. But now there was another question. Since the spellbreakers were all wiped out, why are there still spellbreakers now? Some of their souls are indestructible and were born in the extreme galaxy. Jihong said, not only them, but some shadow destroyers were also revived. In fact, they were revived even earlier. But later, the spellbreakers and shadow destroyers had another large-scale battle. The shadow destroyers were at a disadvantage in numbers and were completely wiped out. They did not even have a chance to revive. Chapter 5177. Jihong told Zichen about the secret letter regarding this world. At the same time, Zichen finally knew the real reason why the immortal spells world could not be opened. He was shocked. He had thought that something had happened in the immortal spells world, causing the passage to be unable to open. He had not expected it to be sealed by Gushan. In that case, it was understandable why he had seen those broken worlds from the immortal spells world in the void of the trial realm. They had been destroyed by the battle between the immortals and the immortal spells world. When Gushan returned from the immortal spells world, he said he was looking for two people. One was me, mainly in charge of this place. Jihong pointed at his feet and said, after the first battle, I was seriously injured and had been recuperating. During the second battle, my injuries had not healed, so I did not participate. The main reason was that I did not want to die here because I still had a mission. Zichen asked, who is the second person? Jihong shook his head. I'm not sure, but it's very likely that he did not find such a person. However, when Gushan left, he said something. What? When the 10,000 spirits world has accumulated enough strength, there will be a day when someone will lead the world back into the immortal spells world. Hearing this, Zichen's expression changed again. In that case, the passage to the immortal spells world can still be opened? It should be able to open it, but that person is not me. Jihong looked at Zichen. Zichen was startled. Could it be me? Perhaps. Jihong said, at the very least, you are the one with the greatest hope. Zichen was deep in thought. He naturally did not have the strength, but he thought of the Black Tower and the woman who lived on the 7th level. She was very strong, and Zichen guessed that she had surpassed the 9 Forces realm. Could it be that person was her? The reason why I let you break through quickly was to tell you the secret, and then to remind you that the extra-legal spirit demons are about to appear. They have ancient memories and are not like these spirit breakers. Once the extra-legal spirit demons descend, they will definitely kill everyone here. Jihong said in a low voice. After that, they will use this place as a starting point to reopen the path of heaven and attract more extra-legal spirit demons. Then they will enter the 10,000 spirits world and slaughter the living beings there, or enslave them forever. Then what should we do? Zichen said, are we going to take everyone away? Before Jihong could respond, he shook his head again. Even if he left this place, What would happen to the myriad spirit world? He couldn't just keep running away. Can't everyone coexist peacefully? Zi Chen continued. The world is so big and the land is so vast. Why do we have to fight and kill? You want to live in peace, but they don't agree. Ji Hong said helplessly. Only by fighting can we defend this place. Once this place was lost, the myriad spirit realm would be in danger. However, it will still take some time for them to arrive here. You should take advantage of this time to make some preparations in advance. Zi Chen nodded. If a battle really happened, they would need all kinds of resources. Only with resources could they recover quickly in the midst of war. When the extra-legal spirit demons arrive, I will try to negotiate with them and see if they can give up on that idea. After all, so much time has passed. Perhaps they who have been sealed have long since given up on destroying the world. Ji Hong said, If the negotiation fails, then we have to be prepared for a big battle. Zi Chen asked curiously, Even you can't stop them? He had seen Ji Hong's methods. That heaven-severing technique was extremely extraordinary. Ji Hong shook his head and said, The spirit demons are all very strong. If they insist on fighting, there's no way to stop them. Right now, the only thing that's beneficial to us is that there are many spirit casters among the spellbreakers. If we really fight, we might be able to win with numbers. At this point, he paused again. But we can't be sure if all the spirit casters are willing to fight for the myriad spirit world. After all, there's still a portion of the spirit casters who have submitted to the spellbreakers. Those people were the radicals who were against Zi Chen. Among them, the spellbreakers were the leaders and listened to their orders. How long will it be before they appear? Originally, Zi Chen had only asked this question casually and did not expect to get a definite answer. Unexpectedly, Ji Hong took out 2 pieces of crystal and said, When the brightest one fades, the spirit demon will descend. He gave the crystals to Zi Chen. Zi Chen took his leave. Ji Hong stood up and sent Zi Chen to the door. Zi Chen took the crystals and returned to his mansion. Next, he had to make some preparations in advance. First, he went to the Hall of Spiritual Spells. Then he used his share to signal Milia to prepare more cultivation energy. The first thing he had to do was to build a hall of spiritual spells outside Spellbreaker City. Or he could build more halls of spiritual spells. In these years, Zi Chen had accumulated a large amount of wealth from selling black stones. Now, it was just the right time to put it to good use. Now that he had more people around him, it was much more convenient to carry it out. Under Milia's arrangement, all kinds of resources were sent outside Spellbreaker City. Then they were sent to the Black Stone Mine. Zi Chen planned to use this place as a temporary base. Time passed day by day. Zi Chen became very busy. Sometimes he could even go back and forth to Spellbreaker's City twice a day. Fortunately, his cultivation level was high now. Naturally, his speed became faster. No one knew what Zi Chen wanted to do. In just half a month, he had exchanged too much energy. If one person used it all, it would take him hundreds of thousands of years to finish it. 1 month later, the 5th crystal dimmed. Only 1 crystal was left. Zi Chen became more and more anxious. The black stones mined from Spellbreaker City were no longer sent to the Hall of Spiritual Spells. Instead, they were sent out of Spellbreaker City. Unknowingly, Zi Chen had already transferred all his resources to the outside world. Next, he just had to wait. He had to wait for the good news. If he could avoid fighting, Zi Chen certainly did not want to fight. The luster of the 6th crystal finally dimmed. Zi Chen knew that the extra-legal spirit demons had arrived. At the same time, in the depths of Spellbreaker City, cheers came from the passage. One after another, tall existences walked out of the passage. They were the extra-legal spirit demons. After being sealed for so many years, they broke the seal with one move. Each one of them roared happily. In the depths of the passage, the roars could be heard. Sensing the aura emitted by the extra-legal spirit demons, all the spellbreakers smiled. 9 Forces Realm. Each of them was comparable to the 9 Forces Realm. Greetings, sir. With 9 Forces Realm Smoke as the leader, all the spellbreakers who were responsible for opening the passage bowed to the extra-legal spirit demons who walked out of the passage. One after another. There were a total of 8 of them. The leader of the 9 Forces Realm glanced at Smoke. Then his eyes moved and finally fell on an 8 Forces Realm spirit demon behind him. Being stared at, the 8 Forces Realm spirit demon was very nervous. "Aunt, what right do you have to be here?" A thunderous voice sounded. The other party stretched out his hand and grabbed the 8 Forces Realm spirit demon. He was responsible for helping Smoke come up with the plan. Before Smoke could explain, the other party grabbed the 8 Forces Realm spirit demon and stuffed him into his mouth. Chapter 5178. The extra-legal spirit demon of the 9 Forces Realm had swallowed an 8 Forces Realm spiritual mage. This shocked Smokey. In the records of the fragment, he knew that the extra-legal spirit demon was very strong, but he did not expect it to be so strong. His 8 Forces Realm spiritual mage's resistance was not effective at all. "Ants don't deserve to be with us." The voice of the extra-legal spirit demon spread out like thunder. The spellbreakers who came cheered. "Kill all the ants here immediately," the extra-legal spirit demon said again. "They don't deserve to live in this world." Smokey led the 8 extra-legal spirit demons to their residence. Halfway there, all the spellbreakers heard the news and rushed over. They immediately bowed to the 8 of them. When the extra-legal spirit demon saw the spiritual mages behind them, his eyes revealed a murderous intent. Seeing this, Smokey immediately said, "Sir, we live in this world and need some people to serve us." The extra-legal spirit demons said, "They are all slaves." "Yes, sir, they are all our slaves." Smokey immediately said. When the group of spirit casters at the back heard this, their expressions became extremely awkward. They had always been attached to the spellbreakers and did their best to do things for them. But they never thought that, in the eyes of these spellbreakers, they were actually slaves. "Since they are slaves, they don't deserve to stand here with us." The extra-legal spirit demon waved his hand, and immediately a surge of energy fell. The dozen spiritual mages in front were instantly badly mutilated. When the others saw this, they fled in fear. "It's useless to have too many slaves," the extra-legal spirit demon said. "Next, kill all the ants. Then, kill our way into the 10,000 spirit world." Smokey said now. Obviously, the extra-legal spirit demons did not forget their mission. At this moment, a ray of light appeared. It was Ji Hong. He stood in the distance and looked at the extra-legal spirit demons. "Ants." The extra-legal spirit demon's eyes became cold. He was unhappy with Ji Hong's eyes. Ji Hong said, "This time, I'm here to discuss something with you." A look of disdain flashed across the extra-legal spirit demon's eyes. "You?" In the next moment, his figure disappeared. Ji Hong's expression changed slightly, and he slapped his palm forward. The power of the 9 Forces Realm gathered in his palm. Boom! The energy vibrated, and Ji Hong retreated 100 feet away. The extra-legal spirit demon from before stood in his original position. Looking at his reddened palm, Ji Hong's mood became heavy. He was indeed very strong. "Among the ants, you can be considered big." "That's more like it." The spirit demon punched out from 100 feet away. Boundless light flashed, and the fist light went straight for Ji Hong. Ji Hong crossed his arms in front of him. With a burst of fist light, he retreated 1,000 feet away. "Haha, again." The spirit demon laughed and charged forward. Ji Hong could see the murderous intent in the other party's eyes. He knew that there was no chance for negotiation. His figure flashed and disappeared. Seeing this, Smokey's face was full of disdain. I thought he had some tricks up his sleeve. I didn't expect him to be a coward. These spellbreakers had always been wary of Ji-hong. Otherwise, they would not have let another voice appear here. After that, Smokey said, "Men, immediately destroy Ji-hong's residence. Kill all of his followers." Yes, the spellbreakers at the back immediately responded. "That ant has some ability. Popularize FA. You guys go with him and bring back his head." 3 extra-legal spirit demons followed the spellbreakers. Next, there would be a large-scale purge. However, by the time they arrived, Ji-hong had already disappeared. Even his subordinates were nowhere to be found. Obviously, they had run away. Since they could not find Ji-hong, the extra-legal spirit demon, called Popularize FA, suggested to kill other ants. Therefore, a group of people who worked for the spellbreakers was killed. Among them, there were some radicals who were clamoring to kill Zichen. As for the spirit demons, they killed according to their mood. Ji-hong walked out from the depths and immediately went to find Zichen. Looking at Ji-hong's ugly face, Zichen said, "They're here." Ji-hong nodded. "Those spirit demons have a strong murderous intent. They did not negotiate at all. They attacked when they saw me." Zichen's face changed. "What should we do now?" Ji-hong said, "Ask everyone to retreat. Leave this spellbreaker city immediately. Otherwise, what awaits them will be death." Zichen looked out of the door and saw Eugene, Duanai, and many others. "They are all my subordinates. They are all out now." These people were at least in the 7th strength state. They were definitely a strong team. However, they were retreating. This showed the threat of the spirit demons. "We have to leave first." Therefore, Zichen immediately asked people to spread the news. They would start with the Hall of Spiritual Spells. At the same time, he also informed those who were mining in the mines not to return to the city. They could just mine outside. Many people could not believe it when they heard that there was danger. They thought it was just a rumor. Faced with doubts, Zichen could not care less. He signaled Milia to take all the resources of the 8 halls of spiritual spells and leave Spellbreaker City. As for the others, they could leave if they wanted to. Those who did not want to leave would have to leave their lives to fate. Just as the 8 halls of spiritual spells were closing their doors one by one, the people in the Spellbreakers Hall were watching the show. Most of them were spellbreakers. According to the news, the ones who were in danger were the spiritual spellbreakers. Similarly, those who were helping the spellbreakers did not leave either. They believed that those spellbreakers would be able to protect themselves. Halfway through, Zichen saw Kant. He had rushed back from the mines and gave Zichen the latest batch of black stones. Looking at the people leaving, he could not help but be stunned. He asked curiously, "What's going on?" Zichen said, "I forgot to tell you. The spiritual spellbreakers are in danger." "What danger?" Kant asked. "It's too late to tell you now, but you will know soon." Zichen looked at Kant and said, "Do you trust me?" Kant nodded. He naturally believed in Zichen. Zichen said, "Then remember well, if someone starts to pursue the matter of you helping me, you must remember to think of a way to disassociate yourself from me. Even if you say that I have been coercing you, it's fine. Try your best to say more bad things about me and the enmity between us." Zichen, you! Kant looked at Zichen in a daze. Zichen patted Kant's shoulder and said, "Also, when you see Phoebe and the others, you must remind them to disassociate themselves from me." With that, Zichen left with his people. Kant stared at Zichen's back. His emotions were very complicated. He did not know what had happened, but he knew that Zichen was doing it for his own good. He did not even care about bearing a bad reputation. He turned his head and looked into the depths. What had happened that could scare away Zichen, who was at the 8th-level state? Chapter 5179. The spiritual casters started to leave the city, and the other spellbreakers were watching the show. Some spiritual casters who thought they were working for the Spellbreakers were also watching the show. Not long after, 9 out of 10 houses in Pofa City were empty. Many spiritual casters left without knowing the reason. They only knew that the Hall of Spiritual Spells was about to close. If they continued to stay, they would not be able to exchange for resources and would only die. Zichin said that there was a hall of spiritual spells outside the city. As for what the real danger was, no one knew. In just 2 days, the entire Shattering City became the world of the Spellbreakers. The streets were empty and there were no pedestrians. Kant returned to the mine and told Phoebe and the others about the situation. They were very curious about what kind of danger would befall Shattering City. On the 4th day, the extra-legal spirit demons came out from the depths and brought the Spellbreakers to Shattering City. Looking at the empty place, the extra-legal spirit demons were in a bad mood. Those ants had run away. Then they killed on sight. Regardless of whether they were useful to the Spellbreakers, they would be killed as soon as they saw them. In just 5 days, all the spiritual casters in Shattering City were killed. If Smokey had not stopped them, they would have killed their way to the mine and exterminated the spiritual casters there. Smokey's reason was simple. He needed them to continue mining to maintain the survival of the Spellbreakers. Moreover, the miners were the ones with the lowest abilities. Only then did the extra-legal spirit demons stop the massacre. Chen's 2 Blackstone mines were the first to be forcefully occupied. The previous management was also reduced to miners and was taken over by the new Spellbreakers. At the same time, the mine that Kant and the others were in was also occupied. Some Spellbreakers questioned them about their relationship with Chen. Sensing the murderous intent of the other party, Kant quickly told them about their relationship according to Chen's instructions. In the end, the mine was taken away and they were chased away. They were not allowed to come close. Far away from the mine, Phoebe sighed. It seems that the sky has really changed. They returned to Shattering City and saw the Spellbreakers who had gathered into a team. They were full of murderous intent. In front of these Spellbreakers, there were 3 tall extra-legal spirit demons. This was the first time they had seen an extra-legal spiritual devil, so they were all shocked. Sir, Phoebe saw a 7th strength realm cultivator in the crowd and called out. When the 7th strength's realm saw them, he took the initiative to leave the group. Why are you here? Phoebe asked, Why are you here, my lord? Qi Li Jing said, We are going out to encircle and annihilate the spirit caster. Encircle and annihilate spirit mages? Sang Lolly asked in astonishment. Those people outside the highest realm is only 3 realms. If we go out to encircle and annihilate them, won't it be a massacre? Qi Li Jing nodded and said, That's right, a massacre. After slaughtering those spirit spellcasters, we will kill our way out of here. The rest of you, come with me. All the Spellbreakers have gathered. Just like that, they joined the team. As they moved forward, Kant said, Why slaughter? They're so weak that they're no threat to us. Sure. 7 Forces realm glared at Kant. Do you want to die? How dare you say such disgraceful words at this time? Now, we'll fight to the death with the spirit caster. From now on, don't say such things. In the future, this place will be ruled by the extra-legal spirit devil. Under the leadership of the extra-legal spirit devil, Pu Fa, the Spellbreakers walked out of the Spellbreakers and arrived outside the city. This place was desolate. There wasn't even any vegetation. Seeing such a scene, Pu Fa couldn't help but shake his head. It seems that the battle back then has completely destroyed this place. When they invaded back then, this place was like the depths of the city, full of singing birds, fragrant flowers, and abundant spiritual energy. Now it was a desolate and ruined place. As they continued forward, they finally met with an obstacle. It was Jihong. He was the only 9 Forces realm among the spirit casters. Behind him was the team he had led back then. Chin, who was at 8 Forces realm, was also among them. This was also Chen's first time seeing an extra-legal spirit devil. Finally, someone who can fight. When Pu Fa saw Ji Hong, he laughed and dashed forward without hesitation. He didn't give Ji Hong a chance to speak. Everyone retreat! After Ji Hong fought with Pu Fa, he shouted. He knew that he was definitely no match for the extra-legal spirit devil. All the spirit casters began to retreat. Facing such a scene, even Zi Qin couldn't change anything. He could only retreat with the crowd. Kill, leave no one alive. At the back, another extra-legal spirit devil waved his hand, and then he took the initiative to move forward. He wanted to help Pu Fa, but was reprimanded by Pu Fa. Obviously, he didn't need to intervene. He was angry, so he could only look at the 8 Forces Realm spirit casters and ask them to attack. The spell breakers at the back quickly charged forward. The two sides soon met, and in an instant a battle broke out. However, this battle was completely a one-sided massacre. A 9 Forces Realm spirit devil opened his mouth and swallowed, and an 8 Forces Realm spirit devil was eaten. This scene was witnessed by all the spirit casters, and they were almost in despair. An 8 Forces Realm spirit casters charged toward Ziqin, but Ziqin took a step forward and disappeared into thin air. That spellbreaker was stunned and was very surprised. In the next moment, Ziqin appeared beside him. At the same time, a ray of light flashed past the spellbreaker's neck. Poof! A head flew high into the air. The 8 Forces Realm spellbreaker was dead. Then, Ziqin's figure was like a ghost, and he began to reap the lives of the spellbreakers beside him. As for the battle on his side, it was the only bright spot amongst the spirit casters. At the same time, it also prevented a portion of the people from chasing after him. The few of you retreat further away. At the same time, Ziqin also saw Kant and the rest in the crowd. They hadn't made a move yet, so they were just there to make up the numbers. Hearing Ziqin's telepathic message, the few of them also tactfully retreated and stayed far away from Ziqin's direction. Poof! 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 Ziqin seemed to have entered a no-man's land and began to kill the spellbreakers wantonly. This was the only highlight of the spirit caster's battle. Seeing this, Smokey flew toward Ziqin. You're courting death! He roared angrily and slapped down with his palm. Ziqin retaliated with a palm. Boom! A powerful energy shockwave. Ziqin's body slid backward, and Smokey, who was at the 9 Forces realm, was sent flying backward. Ziqin's eyes flashed with murderous intent, and he was about to follow up with another attack. At this moment, a shadow landed, and a terrifying pressure immediately attacked. Ziqin's body disappeared into thin air. Boom! A powerful force landed, and the ground exploded. A powerful shockwave sent the nearby spellbreakers flying. The undharmic spirit demon who attacked looked at the deep pit in the ground, and his eyes turned cold. Shadow Destroyer? Ziqin appeared more than 10 feet away. He raised his head and looked at the tall, undharmic spirit demon. The other party's aura was too strong, and much stronger than the spellbreakers of the same realm. But he wasn't afraid, and a long sword appeared in his hand. Using the sword as a knife, he slashed down. Wham! Mountain chopping technique. Chapter 5180. This mountain chopping technique was Ziqin's most powerful attack. Being in the 8 Forces state, this attack was fast and ruthless. The blade arc went straight for the unmagical spiritual demon. The light flashed. Puff! Although the unmagical spiritual demon sensed something was wrong and dodged in time, he still left an arm. This scene stunned all the spellbreakers nearby. They, who had already retreated further, not daring to get close. The morale of the spellbreakers was also greatly boosted. They ran even faster. "Ant, I want you dead!" The unmagical spiritual demon with a broken arm roared to the sky. He did not use any technique, but the sky began to distort. Then pieces of burning meteorites fell from the sky one after another. The meteorites emitted a great momentum, like a meteor shower that could destroy the world. In Zichen's hand, sword light flashed, cutting apart meteorites one after another. Murderous intent flashed in his eyes, and he wanted to charge forward again. At this moment, he saw Ji Hong shaking his head at him, so he retreated quickly. In addition to the unmagical spiritual demon, there were still 9 forces stayed here. Ji Hong did not dare to let Zichen take the risk, so everyone retreated as they fought. Even with the protection of experts like Ji Hong and Zichen, the spellbreakers suffered heavy casualties. A feeling of despair spread through the ranks. After the sky darkened, the spellbreakers stopped attacking. They began to rest and reorganize. The exhausted spellbreakers continued to run. They held the energy in their hands, refining it while running for their lives. The atmosphere in the team had reached the freezing point. On the other hand, the spellbreakers were killing to their heart's content. They were very excited. Smokey came to Pu Fa. Pu Fa glanced at him. "What's the matter?" Smokey cupped his fists and said, "Sir, are we really going to kill all the spell breakers?" Pu Fa said coldly, "You want to plead for these ants?" Smokey quickly said, "Of course not, but some of them used to work for us. They're equivalent to our dogs. Now we're going to kill all of them. Don't you think it's a waste? Ants are ants. They're not even worthy of being our dogs." Pu Fa said, "Kill them all." Smokey said, "My lord, we have to kill them. But if we kill all of them, it will be a huge loss to us, right? After all, we still have to survive here and do a lot of dirty and tiring work. Once they're all dead, it's our turn to do those things." "Then what do you mean?" PFA looked at Smokey. Smokey said, "Sir, what do you think?" Hearing Smokey's words, Pu Fa nodded and laughed out loud. "That's right. Let's do that. Let's watch them kill each other." At this moment, the extra-legal spirit demon, who had lost his arm earlier in the day, said, "I don't agree with that person surrendering. I must kill him." Pu Fa said, "Don't worry, Huiyan. That guy will die. What was his name again?" "My lord, his name is Zichen." At night, everyone was already very tired, but the pursuers were right behind them, so no one dared to rest. Zichen shouted, "Hold on a little longer." Now he was going to lead everyone to the Black Stone Mine. He planned to stop there and fight with the others. He had already discussed with Ji Hong to see if they could try to kill an extra-legal spirit demon together. As long as they could kill one, the rest could be exhausted to death one by one. Therefore, they had to stay away from the spell breakers so that the other spirit demons could not help in time. The sky brightened up. The warm sunlight fell on them, but what they saw was not hope. At this moment, a voice came from behind them. "All spellbreakers, listen up. Now, I'll give you a chance to turn over a new leaf." Everyone turned around and saw Smokey, who was in the 9 Forces realm, standing in the air. Behind him, a dense crowd of people appeared. They were the spellbreakers. Their realm was higher and they were faster. From now on, you can join us as long as you bring the head of a spellbreaker. Otherwise, all of you will die. Smokey shouted, "This is your only chance to join us." Zichen's expression changed when he heard this. He immediately shouted, "My lord, don't be fooled. This is—" Before he could finish speaking, there were poof sounds coming from the team. The companions who had been fighting side by side now pointed their butcher's knives at each other. One head after another flew into the air. Shouts of killing instantly sounded everywhere. The previously exhausted crowd seemed to have been injected with infinite energy at this moment. When fighting the spellbreakers yesterday, they did not have such fighting spirit. Now, all of them were in high spirits. Zichen's expression became very ugly. Ji Hong shook his head. It was not that there was no hope. They already had a plan. However, a single sentence from the other party had disintegrated their battle prowess. "This is mine. Get lost, don't steal my things. Go to hell." Shouts of killing were heard. the other spellbreakers appeared. They stood in the distance, laughing as they watched the crowd kill each other. Zi Chen shouted angrily, "Don't be fooled. This is their trick." But no one believed him. The shouts of killing continued. "Everyone, stay close to me," Zi Chen shouted again. Immediately, many people ran toward Zi Chen in a panic. During this time, some people pretended to panic, but in fact, they were handing knives to the people beside them. Poof! After cutting off a head, the other party ran away with it. "You're courting death." A murderous intent flashed in Zi Chen's eyes. He raised his hand and a ray of light flew out. The person who tried to escape fell to the ground. At this moment, the person next to him immediately picked up the head that the other party had cut off and ran in the direction of the spellbreakers. Another person next to him also ran out, cut off the head of the person that Zi Chen had killed, and then ran away. These two people were originally people who wanted to be protected. When they saw the two heads, they were tempted. When Zi Chen saw this scene, he was a little disappointed. But with so many people in front of him, he could not just ignore them. He shouted again, "Everyone stand behind me. Those who dare to cause trouble will be killed without mercy." At this moment, his whole body was filled with murderous intent. Facing such a situation, he could only kill to stop the killing. Milia and the others came to Zi Chen's side. There were other people from the Hall of Spiritual Spells, as well as the maids who had followed Zi Chen back then. Zi Chen's perception spread out all around, probing for any movements. Once someone had evil intentions, he would immediately kill them. Seeing this, Ji Hong also made a similar move, protecting some people. There were also other experts who were protecting others. In the blink of an eye, the crowd was divided into two groups. One group held the heads and ran forward. There was also a group of survivors who were under the protection of the other experts. Looking at the people who were holding the heads, Smokey laughed and said, "Good, very good. From now on, you are the most loyal servants of the Spellbreakers." He looked at the people in the distance and said, "My words still count. As long as you bring me a head, you are qualified to be servants. There is no time limit. It can be during the day or at night. It can be any time." When these words came out, everyone was in danger. Chapter 50-181. Smokey's words caused these spiritual casters to panic and feel insecure. There were also some who were emboldened and prepared to kill the enemy again. Powerful auras were released from those experts and formed a deterrent force to those people. "We're in a good mood today. You can leave now." Smokey waved his hand at Zi Chen as if he was waving away a group of flies. The spiritual casters started to flee as if they had been pardoned. Zi Chen and the others were still staring ahead and were in charge of covering the retreat. Now that the team was disloyal, it would be very troublesome. However, Zi Chen did not have a better solution at the moment and could only try his best to protect the people around him. He was a little worried that if he brought everyone to the mine, his friends would be hurt. At this moment, Zi Chen could not help but have some selfish thoughts. After all, the threat of the Spellbreakers was too great. Even he could not see any hope. Ji Hong's expression was also very heavy. At this moment, Zi Chen noticed a person in front of him. After seeing the other party, clearly his expression changed. It was Zhang Haotian, who was supposed to be cultivating in the killing crystal mine. He came here alone. Could something have happened to the mine? Everyone looked at the stranger who was blocking the road ahead. His aura was very cold and carried the meaning of not letting anyone near him. Zi Chen walked quickly towards Zhang Haotian. Just as Zi Chen was walking towards Zhang Haotian, one of the people behind him suddenly attacked his companion. Fortunately, his companion was very alert and immediately retreated. Poof! An arm flew out. The other party's expression changed drastically as he did not succeed in his attack and turned to flee. Swoosh! Zi Chen waved his hand, and a ray of light flew over from afar like an arrow and directly shot into the other party's head. In the next moment, his head exploded with a bang. The people nearby all dodged and became more alert, keeping a distance from everyone. Zichen said coldly, "I'm not sure if you will die if you stay because no one can guarantee it. However, I'm sure that if you kill your companion at this time and defect to the side of the Spellbreakers, you will definitely die, because I will attack. I can even cut off the arm of an extra-legal spirit demon. I'm determined to kill you all. I believe there won't be any problems." This was a threat that could not be any more obvious. Under such special circumstances, this was the only way Zichen could come up with in a short amount of time. Persuade him with kind words? That was impossible. It would only allow the slaughter to continue. Everyone's complexion changed, and their expressions changed. Zichen added, "I can give you a suggestion." Everyone looked at Zichen again, wanting to hear what his suggestion was. Zichen said, "If you really want to leave, I won't stop you. If you are confident in your own strength, you can kill each other after you leave. That way, there is a 50% chance that you will join the Spellbreakers. Don't worry if you take the initiative to leave the team and engage in a life and death battle. I will definitely not stop you." Everyone's expression changed again. Was this something a human would say? However, no one dared to refute Zichen. "You can make your choice now. You only have one chance, so make sure to grasp it well." Zichen continued to walk towards Zhang Haoyan. "Why are you here?" Zichen came closer and asked, "Did something happen?" Zhang Haoyan shook his head and then glanced at Zichen. Zichen understood and waved his hand. Immediately, a barrier enveloped the two of them. Zhang Haoyan said, "They said that they can help kill an extra-legal spirit demon." Zichen was puzzled. "Is it Primordial Killer?" Zhang Haoyan said, "They are from the Sholing clan." Jihong had mentioned the Sholing clan before. Back then, it was they who joined forces with the annihilating Shadow clan to quell the turmoil. However, after that battle, the Sholing clan was also completely wiped out. Unexpectedly, they appeared this time. This was definitely an excellent thing for everyone. Zichen asked, "Did they say how to attack?" Zhang Haoyan said, "You are in the open, while they are in the dark. They will wait for an opportunity to kill 2 spirit demons, quietly." There were only 3 extra-legal spirit demons among the Spellbreakers this time. If they could kill 2 of them at once, they would have a great chance of turning the tide in this battle. Zichen asked, "Are you confident?" Zhang Haoyan nodded. "They don't know about the Sholing clan. If we catch them off guard, there should be no problem." "Okay, I'll arrange it." Zhang Haoyan left. At this moment, everyone was looking at Zichen and pinning their hopes on him. No one chose to leave. Some were not confident in their own combat strength, while others were worried that no one would come out to fight with them. At the same time, they were also worried that this was Zichen's scheme. Once they came out, it meant that they had the intention to rebel. Perhaps they would be killed by Zichen first. Zichen said, "Let's continue to set off. Let's go to the Blackstone Lode I found and rest there. There's also a hall of spiritual spells there. Those who don't have resources can go there to exchange for them." Then Zichen walked toward Jihong. Jihong asked, "Is that your friend?" Zichen nodded and then transmitted the message to tell him about the Sholing clan. Jihong's eyes suddenly lit up. He was really surprised. However, he was not an ordinary person. Soon, he restrained his expression. "What are you going to do?" Jihong asked. "Now that the people are not calm, we must not leak the news." Zichen said, "After they make their move, the 2 of us will make our move. First, we will kill those in the Nine Forces realm. After killing a few, when the situation is reversed and the morale is restored, everything will be easy." Okay. That night, the experts led by Zichen were guarding the periphery. First, they were guarding against the Spellbreakers suddenly attacking. Second, they were guarding against their own people killing each other. Even with the presence of these experts, there were still several assassination cases that night. Although those people were all killed, there was still one person who escaped from Zichen's direction. That was a Six Forces realm cultivator. He was very fast. During this time, Zichen launched an attack and pierced through the Six Forces realm cultivator's body. However, the other party did not die. He carried the head of a spiritual master and disappeared into the horizon. Zichen looked at the escaping existence, and his expression became very ugly. He did not dare to chase after him, because if he was not careful, the battle would erupt again. He could only shout, "I will remember you. The next time we meet, you will definitely die." "Are you trying to scare me?" A voice came from the horizon. "Do you really think that I, a Six Forces realm cultivator, can be scared?" Soon, the other party disappeared. In the next few days, the spellbreakers came to harass them again, causing the team to be uneasy. Before night fell, there would be assassinations. On the 5th day, they even sent those spellcasters to attack. Among them, there was a spirit demon and 2 Nine Forces realm cultivators. Zichen blocked the spirit demon, and Ji Hong blocked the 2 Nine Forces realm cultivators. After this battle, there were many casualties on the side of the spirit casters. Just like that, they fought and killed while escaping. Finally, they were about to reach the mine. Before that, they would pass by the Shoaling crystal mine. Chapter 5182. Sorry, I have to rush my new book tonight, so I'll stop updating for another day. I'll try to update it tomorrow. Thunder Warrior will stop updating for another day. It's in your hands right now. Please wait for a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 5183. I have something to do, so I need to go out for a while. If I can come back before 11 o'clock, it will be updated normally. If I can't, then it will be even worse. Sorry, I need to go out for a while. It is in my hands. Please wait for a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 5184. On the road ahead, the spellbreakers kept coming to harass them, causing the entire team to be restless. Everyone could not see any hope of survival, so they started to change sides one by one. Even with Zichen, Jihong, and the rest guarding them, attacks still happened. Since they could not see hope, they could only create hope. Perhaps this was what most people thought. But what about after joining the spellbreakers? They could still fight. There could not be absolute safety. Under the leadership of the extra-legal spirit demon, the spellbreakers followed closely behind, constantly harassing the spellbreakers. Those who had brought the heads over to show their loyalty also joined in. When the sky brightened, the spellbreakers who were resting were awakened by a cry. "They're here again!" Everyone who was already exhausted immediately got up. As far as they could see, the spellbreakers were here again. The defected spellbreakers played the role of vanguard soldiers, shouting loudly as they charged over. Everyone started another round of escape. Both sides soon met and a battle broke out. The pursuers were not the scariest. The scariest thing was that in the spellbreakers team, there would occasionally be people who would sneak attack their own people. As long as one head was chopped off, they would immediately change sides. After escaping in such a sorry state for a day, they were not far from the killing crystal mine. Compared to before they left, the team had lost as much as 60%. The rest of the people were all exhausted and in despair. Zichen's situation was slightly better. He said, "We'll take advantage of the night to hurry on, and we'll start to rest after 4 hours. Everyone, cheer up. We're almost at our destination." Everyone could only continue forward. Smokey brought the spellbreakers and followed behind. Smokey looked at Pooh Fa beside him and said, "Sir, according to our estimation, they can't hold on for too long. If we attack tonight, we should be able to wipe them out in one fell swoop." Pooh Fa nodded and said, "That's good. Tonight, we'll wipe out all the ants in one fell swoop. Also, recruit some more people and let them encircle and annihilate their own kind." Yes, Smokey smiled, and an image appeared in his mind. In the image, the spell breakers began to kill each other until there was only one person left. Therefore, he could not figure out why the battle back then had failed. Wouldn't it be fine to let them fight each other? 2 hours later, Zi-Chun signaled for the team to start resting. This place was already very close to the killing crystal mine. Zi-Chun saw Zhang Haoyan and quietly joined the team. At the same time, he also took Zi-Chen's spirit of slaughter. All that was left was to wait. About an hour later, the spellbreakers arrived. This time, they did not play a game of cat and mouse. They went forward and surrounded everyone. When everyone came to their senses and realized that they were surrounded, they fell into despair. "Sir, I surrender. I surrender too." Without waiting for the spellbreaker to threaten them, among the despairing spirit casters, someone immediately shouted loudly. Zi-Chin looked ahead indifferently. Led by Pooh Fa, 3 extra-legal spirit demons walked out from behind the crowd. Smokey and the other 9 Forces realm martial artists stood behind him. Pooh Fa said indifferently, "From now on, I'll give you one last chance to live. Go and kill the people around you or you'll all die." Once these words were spoken, it was as though he had sentenced these spirit spell casters to death. Killing each other was their last chance of survival. At this moment, Huyen pointed at Zi-Chen and said, "Everyone can join except him." He still remembered the grudge of losing an arm, and he was determined to kill Zi-Chen. Zi-Chen looked at Huyen and said with a smile, "Even if you invite me, I won't join you." Zi-Chen's smile quickly turned into a sneer. "Because I want to kill all of you." "You?" Huyen looked disdainful. Zi-Chen said, "Why don't you try?" As soon as he finished speaking, Zi-Chen took a step forward and fully released the aura of the 8 Forces realm. At the same time, there was light flowing in Zi-Chen's eyes. This was the immortal spiritual eye which stood out in the dark. Everyone's attention was on Zi-Chen. "If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." Huyen was enraged and strode toward Zi-Chen. His aura began to flow. With every step he took, the ground would shake. The terrifying aura of the spirit demon was suffocating. The other Dharma breakers were sneering. In their eyes, Zi-Chen's move was like a trapped beast's final struggle. It was better to have a vigorous battle before death than to have his head chopped off. Pooh Fa and the other extra-legal spirit demon were also very disdainful. A mere 8 Forces realm was not enough for them to take him seriously. It was a little cold. Pooh Fa smiled faintly. It seemed that Huyen had improved again and could even affect him. Suddenly, a chill came and Pooh Fa's expression changed. He seemed to have guessed something. Unfortunately, it was too late. Puff! Puff! Suddenly, 2 soft sounds came from behind Huyen. When everyone heard the sound and turned their heads, they saw a shocking scene. The heads of the 2 tall spirit demons suddenly left their bodies, and blood kept spurting from their necks. Previously, everyone's attention was on Huyen and Zi-Chen. No one paid attention to the other 2. The 2 of them had lost their heads. Huyen turned around and saw a disappearing light. His expression changed immediately. Killing spirit. At this moment, Jihong rushed out and went straight to Huyen. The aura of the 9 Forces realm surged around him, and he struck out with his palm. Huyen was furious and turned to meet Jihong's palm. Boom! With a strong shock, Huyen's huge body flew backward. Jihong sneered. "Do you really think I'm afraid of you? Back then, I killed more than one trash like you." 2 of the 3 extra-legal spirit demons suddenly died, and the last one was no match for Jihong in a head-on confrontation. The situation had reversed too quickly, so much so that everyone was unable to react in time. Puff! Smo, who was standing in the same place, suddenly felt a pain in his heart. When he looked down, he saw a long sword piercing his heart. He slowly looked up and saw Zi Chen's face. There was a touch of disbelief in his eyes. Zi Chen was clearly far away. How did he come to his side? He continued to turn his head and look to the side. Zi Chen was still standing there. How could there be two Zi Chens? At this moment, Zi Chen's body in the distance disappeared. Smo realized that it was the shadow rule. Then his surging vitality disappeared, and his body fell backward. In the blink of an eye, 2 spirit demons died, and the leader, Smo, was also killed. The tables had turned. All the Dharma breakers were stunned on the spot. They could not believe that this was real. The killing spirit appeared, and a strong murderous intent surged in all directions. The Dharma breakers felt as if they had come to a world of ice and snow. The chill was bone-piercing. Puff! The killing spirit quickly swept past the glabella of a 9 forces realm cultivator and pierced through. Chapter 5185. The spiritual casters were surrounded and they were in despair. They were even thinking about how to twist off the heads of their companions in exchange for a chance to live. However, they did not expect the situation to be reversed in the next moment. Zi Chen's desperate fight was the beginning. He did not really want to fight with Huiyan, but he wanted to attract everyone's attention and increase the chances of success for those who were secretly attacking. After the death of the 2 unshackled spiritual demons, Jihong displayed his true strength and suppressed a spiritual demon. Then Zi Chen used the rules of shadow and killed the leader, Smoky. After that, he killed another 9 forces realm cultivator. All of this happened in an instant. Not only did it reverse the situation, but it also caused the spellbreakers to suffer heavy losses. Even now, many of the spellbreakers had yet to react. They stood there dumbfounded. Poof! 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 At this moment, the sound of weapons piercing into bodies rang out. It was the other killing spirits that started to kill the spellbreakers. Go to hell! As for those who had betrayed them, their reactions were extremely fast. They changed sides once again and attacked the Magi Breaker. In an instant, there were endless screams. The spell breakers were almost stunned. Retreat quickly. After Zi Chen killed Smoky, he went to the other 9 forces realm cultivators. At the same time, the killing spirit was also under his control, harvesting the lives of the spell breakers one after another. After refining the killing intent for such a long time, no one could stop the killing spirit. At the same time, Zi Chen also transmitted his voice to Kant and the rest. They were still in the team. If they did not retreat now, they would definitely be killed by the killing spirits. Let's go! Kant's reaction was not slow. He immediately pulled Sanlali and signaled for Phoebe and the rest to follow. At this moment, the spell breakers were caught off guard by this attack. Hearing the screams of their companions, they also felt fear and began to retreat. When one person retreated, everyone retreated. Instantly, they lost their morale. As for the spiritual casters, because they had been angered too much previously, seeing that the spell breakers were afraid and wanted to escape, they all rushed forward. No one was willing to miss such an opportunity to beat a drowning dog. For a moment, battle cries shook the heavens. The spirit spell casters all had a feeling that they were the masters. Kant led a few people and fled quickly. There were 5 people hiding in the dark. After seeing Kant, some people had killing intent in their eyes. A woman at the side shook her head, indicating for them to go over. This woman was Xiao Wei. She already had a fleshly body and had reached the 6 forces state. As for the other 4 people, 3 of them were at the 5 forces realm, and the old man was at the 7 forces realm. This was the strongest battle force that the Shadow Clan could bring out at the moment. After giving way to Kant and the others, they moved forward and began to ambush the lawbreakers who had lost their will to fight. This was the revenge war of the Shadow Clan after so many years. Xiao Wei's body split into three. Like an illusion, it swept past the bodies of the three spellbreakers. The three fleeing figures suddenly paused. It was as if the life force in their bodies had been sucked out by someone. They fell stiffly to the ground. This was the true battle strength of the Shadow Destroyer clan. They were born to comprehend the rule of shadow and had extremely strong killing power. The others also had their own methods. The battle cries lasted for a long time. The originally exhausted people also went on a killing spree after the situation was reversed. For many years, it was the lawbreakers who suppressed the spirit spellcasters. They didn't even treat them as humans. This time, they could finally vent their anger. No one could have thought that the situation would be reversed in such a situation. From one kind of despair to another kind of despair. More than 2,000 lawbreakers. In the end, only 100 or so returned alive. More than 90% of them were killed or injured. As for those who escaped, the highest realm was only at the Seven Forces realm. The reason why that person was able to escape was not because he was strong, but because Zi-Chen deliberately let him go. Otherwise, Kant and the others, who were at the Six Forces realm, might be in trouble. The battle was over, and everyone began to clean up the battlefield. It had to be said that the lawbreakers were all rich. Everyone's harvest was not small. Some people wanted to find those elusive, ghost-like existences, but they didn't find them. After the battle ended, they seemed to have disappeared and could no longer be seen. Zi-Chen also disappeared at some point. Next, Ji Hong would lead the team, and Zhang Haoqian would secretly guide them to the black stone vein that Zi-Chen controlled. On the way back, everyone's mood was surging. The great victory this time made their morale high. Among these people, there were also some defectors. They changed sides at the critical moment and attacked again, catching the lawbreakers off guard. They were also in a good mood, but now they were deliberately alienated by the others. Because if things went wrong, they might attack their own people next time. Zi-Chen came to the killing crystal vein. Yuan Sha was already waiting at the entrance of the cave. Then the two went underground. Coming here again, Zi-Chen clearly felt that this place was different from before. The killing intent was thicker and purer. After the killing spirit appeared, it turned into a stream of light and went to the deepest part first. Fortunately, you guys made a move. Otherwise, I really don't know how to resist. When they went deeper, Zi-Chen was also very emotional. Perhaps there's always a way out. Yuan Sha glanced at Zi-Chen and said, "You cooperated very well too. It can be considered to have caught them off guard. However, it'll be difficult to deal with them in the same way." Zi-Chen said with a smile, "This time the lawbreakers suffered heavy losses. It's more or less the case that they were wiped out. There aren't many strong masters left in the depths, but there are about 5 extra-legal spirit demons." This time, Zi-Chen went to the depths to pay a visit to the Slaughter Soul clan. At the same time, he wanted to ask just how many powerhouses they had. If there were enough strong masters, Zi-Chen didn't mind leading people to kill them directly. He originally thought that the two sides could coexist. Now it seemed impossible. For the people here, for the people in the all-spirit world, Zi-Chen would never allow them to live. Under Yuan Sha's lead, Zi-Chen came to the deepest part and saw the leader of the killing spirits. After seeing her, Zi-Chen was obviously stunned. It was a woman. The woman said, "Why? Looking at your expression, can't a woman be the leader?" Zi-Chen shook his head and said, "Not at all. I'm just a little surprised." The woman said, "There's nothing to be surprised about. The others are all dead. I'm the only one left." When she said this, the woman said it very calmly, but Zi-Chen could hear the sadness in her voice. No matter if it was a man or a woman, combat power was the most important thing. Chapter 5186. The 2 killing spirits of the 9 powers realm were the strongest here. Including Ji Hong, there were only 3 of them. On the side of the extra-legal spirit demons, there should be 5 of them. They had an absolute advantage in numbers. On the side of the lawbreakers, no one was sure how many of them were at the 9 powers realm. In short, the difference in strength between the 2 sides was too big. In the battle that year, the Annihilating Shadow Clan and the Killing Spirits Clan had lost their entire clan to block the extra-legal spirit demons. This time, they could only rely on the spiritual casters. But on the side of the spiritual casters, there was only Ji-hong, who was at the 9 powers realm. For many years, the highest realm of spiritual casters was only at the 8 powers realm. There seemed to be a force in the unseen world that prevented the spiritual casters from breaking through. Zi-Chen looked at the leader of the killing spirits in front and said, "Why don't we fight back?" The leader of the killing spirits said, "Up to you. Anyway, there are only these few of us. If we all die, then forget it." This sentence made Zi-Chen feel a lot of pressure. When Zi-Chen left, the leader of the killing spirits let Yuan Sha follow him. If Zi-Chen had any orders, he would tell Yuan Sha. The 2 of them left the mine. Yuan Sha said in a low voice, "Many people died in the battle that year. Those who died in the battle left the slim chance of survival to the leader. The reason why we can be revived is because many people gave up the chance to be revived." Yuan Sha's tone did not have a disappointed expression. He was very frank and said, "The purpose of our revival is to destroy the extra-legal spirit demons until the last person dies in battle. So, we are not afraid of death. When we were revived, we had already decided to fight to the death." Zi-Chen's heart was heavy. He had never liked to take the initiative to attack. Although he had killed countless people, he did not like to kill. If both sides could coexist peacefully, he would agree. But it was obvious that this was not possible. So he had to take action. This time, not only did he have to kill the invading extra-legal spirit demons, he also had to kill the lawbreakers. At the very least, he had to kill those who had the intention to rebel. Arriving at the Blackstone mine, this place had become very lively. There were 2 spiritual spell halls. The various resources inside were brought out by Zi-Chen from Dharma Breaker City. They could sustain these people for a long time. Of the 2 spiritual spell halls, one was specifically for exchanging resources. Everyone could barter here. As for the other one, it was to provide some help to those who had no resources. However, these people also needed to do something. For example, they could build a temporary spell breaker city here. The spell breakers fled in panic, and the remaining 100 or so returned to the empty shattering city. The 8 great spiritual spell halls were already closed, but the 4 broken spell halls were still open. It was a pity that there were too few people going in and out. When the news spread, it immediately caused an uproar. The surviving 7 Forces realm lawbreaker went to the depths to report the latest situation. This caused another commotion in the inner circle. The leader of the extra-legal spiritual devil immediately flew into a rage when he heard the news. He did not hesitate to give the order to kill the spirit caster in the depths first. When those spirit spell casters heard the news, they started to flee. After they came out, they signaled the spell-breaking hall's spirit casters to quickly escape. Some people heard him and followed him out of the city. Some people didn't mind, because no matter what, someone had to work. Therefore, those people who didn't listen were all killed. In just a few days, there wasn't a single spirit caster left in the entire Shattering City. After cleaning up the spirit casters here, the extra-legal spiritual devil in the depths led all the spellbreakers and false shadow destroyers out of the city. They came out in full force. They wouldn't rest until they died. When Zi-Chen heard the news, he could only lead his people to battle. There weren't many experts on their side. Luckily, there were many of them. Everyone, you should have heard the news. Spirit casters and spellbreakers can't coexist. If we can't kill them, then the next ones to die will be us. Before they left, Zi-Chen called everyone over and said, "As for the choice, I hope that all of you have a good idea in your hearts. Even if you join the spellbreakers now, after the spirit casters are all killed, those rebels will still die. Zichen did not say any more words. Everyone knew the reason. The only difference was the choice. He let Yuan Sha inform the Shura clan. Next, there would be a great battle to the death. Zichen led his people and started to move out. Since it was the final battle, there was no need to wait for the enemy to arrive. The Shura clan also moved out. They followed behind. There was also the Shadow Destroyer clan. No matter their level, everyone came. They hid in the dark, and almost no one could see them. The monk, Su Mengyao, Miao Miao, and the others also came. Actually, Zichen had gone to the Black Tower once to ask for help. In the end, the existence of the 7th floor of the Black Tower told him that he could only help kill Seuss and the others. This made Zichen speechless. Right now, he could kill countless Theseus with a single finger. Zichen walked in front of the group. Ji Hong followed beside him, but was half a step slower than Zichen. This meant that in this battle, Zichen had absolute control over it. It could even be said that Zichen was the leader of all of them. No one knew the reason, especially Eugene and the others. They couldn't understand. Why did the Lord give the position of leader to Zichen, who was in the 8 Powers realm? The two sides finally met in an open space. Looking at the 3 extra-legal spirit demons in front of him, Ji Hong was surprised and said, "Why are there 2 less?" When the extra-legal spirit demons first appeared, he went there once and saw 8 of them. A few days ago, he killed 3. Now, 3 more had appeared. Where were the other 2? But it had to be said that this was good news for them. With 2 less absolute battle prowess, their chances of winning would increase by several times. Kill! At Zichen's order, everyone rushed forward. The final battle began. Zichen was facing an extra-legal spirit demon, so he used his strongest move right from the start. Boom! Both sides palmed and retreated. On the side, Ji Hong beat back an extra-legal spirit demon with a palm. At the same time, 2 shadows appeared out of nowhere and attacked the extra-legal spirit demon. It was the Shura clan. According to Zichen's order, the 2 of them joined forces to kill one of them. The extra-legal spirit demon had expected this and quickly punched. With a boom, one of them was sent flying. However, the other person successfully harvested his head. There were 2 left. Zichen blocked one of them, while Ji Hong and the 2 slaughter spirits went all out to kill the other one. After a while, the 2nd extra-legal spirit demon was killed. Then, Zichen gave up on this opponent and began to kill the other spellbreakers. And those pseudo-shadow destroyers, Ji Hong and the other 2, continued to kill the last extra-legal spirit demon. This battle was fought very bitterly. Both sides suffered heavy casualties. However, after the death of the absolute combat power, the spellbreakers clearly had the upper hand. Then, the spellbreakers began to be defeated. Defeat after defeat. They were utterly defeated. In the end, there were only a few dozen people who escaped alive. They were already scared out of their wits. On the battlefield, the spellbreakers burst into thunderous cheers. Zichen and Ji Hong were undoubtedly treated as heroes. The 2 Shura spirits had disappeared. The 2 of them had suffered heavy injuries. Just as they were cheering, the last 2 extra-legal spirit demons in the depths of Dharma-shattering city worked together to open a passage. This passage led to the world of extra-legal spirit demons. Chapter 50-187. The seal was opened, and a strong aura poured in through the passage. The 2 extra-legal spirit demons looked at the passage excitedly. It was finally open. After so many years, the passage between the 2 worlds was opened again. Let's go! They looked at each other and entered the passage. 2 hours later, they came out again. This time they brought more extra-legal spirit demons with them. There were extra-legal spirit demons in every realm, and they were like an army. The extra-legal spirit demons had officially invaded. All along, their goal had not been to use the hands of the lawbreakers, but to open the passage between the two worlds and allow the extra-legal spirit demons to descend. Outside Shattering Law City, almost all the enemies were wiped out in this battle, and the morale of the spiritual casters was greatly boosted. They were shouting that they wanted to fight their way into Shattering Law City. Currently, Shattering Law City had no effective combat power. Now was the best time to occupy it. Ji-hong thought it was a good idea, but Zi-chin said, "Aren't there still 2 extra-legal spirit demons? Let's go inside and see what's going on." To be safe, he asked Xiaowei to take a few members of the Annihilation Shadow Clan to go inside and see what was going on. Although there were 2 extra-legal spirit demons left, they were obviously not a threat. But Zi-chin still had a strong sense of uneasiness in his heart. It seemed that those 2 people would become the biggest threat. A day later, Xiaowei came back with people. Her face was extremely pale, and she told him the latest news. After hearing this, Zi-chen's face changed. The army of extra-legal spirit demons had invaded? This was troublesome. He didn't know how many strong cultivators would come here. These people were obviously unable to resist. Zi-chen's first thought was to take as many people as he could and leave. There was no way he could win this battle. He had no confidence, so he went to the Black Tower. The woman was waiting for Zi-chen at the door. She seemed to know what he was thinking and said directly, "Don't think about it. It's impossible. Not to mention that you can't take others with you. Even you can't leave now." "Why?" Zi-chen asked. "Because the passage between the two worlds is opened by force. Once the extra-legal spirit demons find clues, they can quickly open the passage between the two worlds and go to the all-spirits world." The woman said, "In this aspect, the extra-legal spirit devil has an extraordinary advantage." After saying that, the woman waved her hand again and said, "Moreover, before you get rid of the extra-legal spirit demons, I suggest you don't come here. Otherwise, they will come looking for you." Zi-chin panicked when he heard this. "Then what should I do?" The woman faintly said, "If you want to turn the situation around, there is a way to try." Zi-chin listened. No matter what method it was, he had to try it. Because this time not only did it concern the life and death of other spirit spellcasters, it also concerned his friends and family. After all, he had brought everyone with him this time. Use the rules of this world to crush them. The woman said, "Just like how you are the ruler of the Tianwu world. In the Tianwu world, no one can beat you." Zi-chan was stunned and said, "But how can I become the master of this world?" The woman glanced at Zi-chin. "Very simple. Jump into the Milky Way. It contained the essence of this world. As long as one could comprehend it, they would succeed. Otherwise, they would be lost." Zi-chin thought of the Milky Way in the periphery, and his face immediately turned ugly. It was already lucky to be able to come back to life once. How could there be a second time? This could not be said to be too difficult. It was simply a matter of life and death. "Oh, right, you have to enter the Nine Forces realm. This realm is closer to the essence of the world, and the probability of survival will be higher." After saying that, the woman directly closed the door, which meant that she was sending him off. Zi-chin stood outside, shaking his head and smiling bitterly. After returning, he looked very depressed. This time he was afraid that there was really no way. He called some capable people over and told them the truth. Everyone could see Zi-chen's helplessness, and they were all very depressed. They were just short of despair. Ji-hong said, "If you can break through, there is still some hope." Zi-chen's combat strength was very strong. Once he reached the Nine Forces realm, he might be able to turn the situation around. Zi-chen shook his head. He knew very well that even if he reached the Nine Forces realm, he would not be able to change anything. With the invasion of the extra-legal spirit demons, there would definitely be a lot of Nine Forces realm cultivators. He might be able to fight a few of them, but he definitely could not fight a group of them. The old man from the Shadow Destroyer clan thought that Zi-Chin felt that there was no hope for him to break through. He thought for a moment and said, "In that case, Zi-Chin, you should go back to the Soul Mountain." Zi-Chin looked at the old man. The old man said, "The Divine Mountain has a spirit. Maybe it can sense our current crisis and situation. Go inside and take a look. Maybe you can find a way to break through." Breaking through to the Nine Forces realm would obviously not change the situation of the battle, but it had to be said that it was better than being in the Eight Forces realm. Zi-Chen decided to go to the Soul Mountain. Before leaving, he went to find Su Mengyao. Zi-Chen left the Black Tower to her. Zi-Chen was just an ordinary person, not a saint. He also had his own selfish motives. He told Su Mengyao to take everyone into the Black Tower and go back to the Tianwu world if there was no way to escape. No matter what the consequences were, it was fine as long as they could survive. He did not want these people to die in the hands of the extra-legal spirit demons. As for the rest, he would leave it to him. Zi-Chin had made up his mind. If he could break through to the Nine Forces realm, he would jump into the galaxy. Life and death depended on the will of the heavens. Before leaving, Zi-Chen found Yuan Sha again and told him not to let the Soul Slayer clan fight to the death. After all, it was not easy to survive. When they were no match for the enemy, they should run if they could. Moreover, his companions were willing to give them the chance to live. Their real intention must be to let them live well, not to send them to death after they were resurrected. After telling them some trivial things, Zi-Chen finally said goodbye to Jihong. No one knew whether they would meet again in the future. Zi-Chen began to turn back. Taking advantage of the night, he returned to Dharma-shattering city. It used to be very lively here, but now there was almost no one here. Zi-Chen did not stop. He walked out of the city and went deep into the mountains. What Zi-Chen did not know was that when he went deep into the mountains, the extra-legal spirit demons army also came to the mountains. They first attacked those who were mining. One place after another, one mine after another, not leaving a single person alive. They were all killed. The extra-legal spirit demons came with the mission of destroying the world, so they did not need slaves. Kant, Phoebe, Singlali, and the others followed behind the team. They saw Zi-Chen's two mines with their own eyes. They saw those familiar people being killed one by one. Looking at this team of barren people, there was only fear in their hearts. From Marcus to Mitch, not a single one of them was alive. Kant was very sad, but there was nothing he could do. After exterminating the spiritual casters here, they began to walk out of Dharma-shattering city. Then it was a carpet search and hunting. There was no end to it until the spiritual casters were exterminated. Chapter 5188. Escape. Endless escape. The entire army of extra-legal spirit demons was mobilized, starting from the Six Forces realm and the Nine Forces realm. They killed countless spiritual spellcasters. This battle was destined to be without any suspense. When Jihong broke out in the first battle, he fought two extra-legal spirit demons of the Nine Forces realm. He escaped with injuries. After that, the spiritual spellcasters did not even put up a corresponding resistance. They kept retreating. When Zi-Chen entered the space where the Soul Mountain was, the spiritual spellcasters had already been utterly defeated. He could not care so much anymore. He entered the space and headed towards the Soul Mountain. There was a passage in the mountain that went straight into the depths. At the end, looking at the distorted space in front of him, Zi-Chen stood there and took a deep breath. The old man had said that he could only come here once. The situation was unique. Zi-Chen needed the help of the Soul Mountain. Otherwise, this world, the 10,000 spirit world, would no longer exist. He walked in. The ripples surged, but did not stop him. Zi-Chen entered smoothly. This place was like a land of chaos. It was hazy, and Zi-Chen couldn't see anything. He did not know if the sacred mountain had a spirit. He first bowed to the front and then said, "Senior, this world is facing a life and death crisis. I came here rashly to find a way to break through." It was quiet all around. There was no sound. Zichin said 3 times in a row, "Even if you break through, you can't stop this disaster." An ethereal voice suddenly sounded. "This is fate. This world should have disappeared many years ago. The people of this world are just making a futile struggle." It could be heard that this voice did not have any attachment to the world. Zichin said, "Maybe, but I believe that everything depends on human effort. I should at least try, right? Instead of waiting for the fate of death to come, it is better to fight hard. Even if in the end I still have to die, I have a clear conscience. Even if you break through, how will you deal with it?" The voice sighed. "There are countless enemies. You can't kill them all." Zichin said firmly, "I will jump into the Milky Way and seek more powerful strength." Milky Way. The existence was stunned. Obviously, he did not expect Zichin to say that. "Yes. Do you know the consequences of entering the Milky Way? It's just a life. Many people have already died, so it doesn't matter if I die." Zichin answered frankly. "Why are you so persistent?" The voice asked again. "Because I have family and friends. I want to protect them," Zichin said. "Besides that, there are many more innocent people." "I thought you would talk about the common people first. I'm not a saint. I'm just a normal person. If I can save the world, I'm naturally willing to do so. But if I can't save them, I'll save my family and friends first." Zichin said, "Because they're the ones I care about." "Yeah." The voice sighed. "The reason why we live in this world is because we have things that we care about. We have our own concerns." With that said, a surge of power gathered from all directions and headed straight for Zichin. These powers were too tyrannical, and they came so suddenly that Zichin was unable to withstand them. Everything went black and Zichin fainted. The energy continued to enter his body. "Kill. Don't let a single ant go." The army of extra-legal spiritual demons killed all the way. Wherever they went, not even the law-breaking beasts were spared. Anyone who encountered them would die. They kept moving forward and finally arrived at the killing crystal mine. From the outside, they could not see anything unusual. An extra-legal spiritual demon in the Nine Forces realm sensed something. He pointed at the mine and said, "Go inside and have a look." Immediately, a team sneaked in. The leader was in the Eight Forces realm. Half an hour passed, but there was still no movement. The people inside did not come out. The Nine Forces realm frowned. "Send more people in." This time, 2 Eight Forces realm cultivators led dozens of 7 Forces realm and 6 Forces realm cultivators into the mine. Like a clay ox entering the sea, there was still no movement. "Send more people in. Let me know if you notice anything unusual." The third team went in. They were much more careful. When they reached the entrance of the mine, one of them shouted, "Sir, there's killing intent in the mine." After 2 rounds of ambush, the killing intent in the mine could no longer be concealed, even by the Killer Soul Clan. "It's the Killer Soul Clan. Let's go in." The Nine Forces realm cultivator shouted angrily and led the others into the mine. What followed was a fierce battle. The Killer Soul Clan, who had been hiding in the dark, appeared and launched a surprise attack on the extra-legal spiritual demons. Powerful energy waves kept gushing out from the mine. The entire mine was shaking violently. The battle underground was extremely brutal. As the news spread, even more extra-legal spirit demons rushed over and entered the underground. They were the Killer Soul Clan. They had a feud and would not rest until one of them was dead. In the end, the entire killing crystal mine seemed to have become a mass of energy that was ignited. All kinds of killing crystals in it exploded in an instant. Boom! The sound was deafening. It formed a horrifying airwave that spread out in all directions. Within a radius of dozens of miles, there was smoke and dust that shook the sky and covered the sun. The extra-legal spiritual demons who were rushing in stopped far away and looked ahead in shock. The ground was still shaking violently, and the smoke and dust were rolling. They waited for the shaking of the ground to stop. After the smoke and dust between heaven and earth had dispersed, they immediately flew toward the killing crystal mine. When they arrived, the entire mine had disappeared and turned into a huge, deep pit. In the deep pit, there were countless broken arms and limbs. None of the extra-legal spiritual demons who had entered the mine survived. They were all dead, including the 4-9 Forces realm cultivators. This was the biggest loss they had suffered since the invasion of the extra-legal spiritual demons. As for whether the Killer Soul clan was completely wiped out, no one knew. In any case, in the subsequent encirclement, not a single slaughter spirit appeared. The spirit spellcasters were still on the run. Initially, they were running in an organized manner, but in the end, they were running in disarray. They had more than 100 times more people than the extra-legal spiritual demons, but they were still defeated. As they fled, there were fewer and fewer people following Su Mengyao. However, there were still hundreds of them. They were fleeing outside according to Su Mingyao's memory. The monk and the others were in the team. Currently, all the people who came from Tianwu World were still alive. However, the pursuers were still following them. Everyone knew that death was only a matter of time. In the Soul Mountain, Ziqin had already lost his consciousness. The energy of heaven and earth flowed into his body continuously. Ziqin's aura began to grow. A light shadow appeared in front of Ziqin. Its body was in an illusory state. It was not clear whether it was a man or a woman. It stared at Ziqin for a long time. Perhaps it is because of people like you that this world can produce miracles again and again. Come on, for your concern, continue to fight. The shadow suddenly disappeared and turned into pure energy, entering Ziqin's body. Chapter 50, 189. Su Mengyao and her team were hiding in the mountains. They had been running all the way, and their destination was the outer region in her memory. The extra-legal spiritual demons were hot on their heels, getting closer and closer. You guys go. I'll stay with a few people. The monk looked at the exhausted people. It had not been easy to escape all the way here. The extra-legal spiritual demons were about to catch up. If they did not split up, everyone would die here. Let's go together. Su Mengyao opened her eyes and said, Never split up. The monk said, The enemy will catch up in less than 15 minutes. What awaits us then is death. If we split up now, some of us still have a chance to live. Never split up. Su Mingyao's tone was firm. She emphasized again and looked at the people around her. They had lost people along the way here, but none of the core members were missing. Therefore, she absolutely did not agree to everyone splitting up. And it was obvious that after splitting up, the people who stayed behind would definitely die. Ziqin might lose his life for this place. She could not stop Ziqin, nor could she stop him. Therefore, she could not let everyone die here. Time passed bit by bit. Everyone was also very nervous. They were all recovering as much as they could. Follow me quickly. At this moment, a voice rang out. Xiao Wei's figure appeared. She was a shadow destroyer and could hide in this place. She had always been in charge of gathering information. Everyone got up and followed Xiao Wei back the way they came. After walking for about 10 miles, they saw corpses all over the ground. They were all extra-legal spiritual demons. They had died miserably. Many of the corpses were incomplete. This stunned everyone. Who killed them? Why did they not show up? Look ahead. Xiao Wei pointed ahead. It was the center of the pile of corpses. Everyone moved forward and saw many resources scattered there. There were no rings, only resources. It was as if someone had deliberately taken them out. Everyone did not understand. Why? Su Mengyao said, Divide those resources. Everyone has a share. She looked into the distance and vaguely guessed who did it. Unfortunately, he did not show up. Let's go. Su Mengyao turned and said, work hard on cultivation and strive to become stronger as soon as possible. In this area, the extra-legal spirit demons suppressed the spirit spellcasters, killing them until they were utterly defeated. However, it was unknown when the extra-legal spirit demons began to die. No one knew how they died, whether they were killed by one person or by a group of people. In short, when they found the corpse of the extra-legal spirit demon, there were also some scattered resources beside it. These resources were not placed in the spirit ring. Instead, they were placed outside and scattered everywhere. It was as if he had deliberately left it behind. Over time, as such things continued to happen, everyone knew that there were experts silently protecting and helping them. The discovered resources were not placed in the spirit rings, but outside so that more people could obtain them. The current environment was to allow everyone to survive first and then slowly become stronger. That was hope. A team of extra-legal spirit devils was advancing. There were about 30 of them. The leader was a 9 Forces realm cultivator. They had already been out for a period of time and had killed countless spirit spellcasters. Be careful. Recently, there have been quite a few spirit caster survivors. As they advanced, the 9 Forces realm cultivator reminded them. Suddenly, a cold light appeared. Unexpectedly, it directly pierced through the 9 Forces realm cultivator's head. This scene happened so quickly that the other party did not even have time to react. It was a flowing light. It looked like a short dagger and was extremely fast. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The flowing light flew past and passed through the bodies of the extra-legal spirit demons. In just a few breaths, more than 30 people were all dead. They all fell into a pool of blood. That light was the spirit of slaughter. However, the one controlling it was not Zichen, but a woman, the leader of the spirit of Slaughter Clan. Yuan Sha brought back Zichen's words. Therefore, the spirit of Slaughter Clan changed their strategy and did not choose to fight to the death. Instead, they tried to preserve their strength and slowly destroy the extra-legal spirit demons. She quickly collected everyone's spirit rings, then took out the resources and scattered them in various places. After that, she left. More than 100 miles away on a mountain peak, she stopped again and took out a portion of the resources and placed them there. She repeated this process. Of course, this was also what Zichen had said. By doing this, she might not be able to distribute the resources to everyone, but there was still hope. At present, in this world, hope was undoubtedly the rarest thing. As long as there was hope, there would be a future. The killing continued, and so did the counterattack. In response, the extra-legal spirit demons deliberately set up ambushes to kill the few people, but they did not succeed. Once, when he finally succeeded in setting up an ambush, 2 more people appeared and slaughtered all the extra-legal spiritual devils that were lying in wait. There were 3 people standing in a field, Zi Chun, Ji Hong, and the leader of the spirit of slaughter. If we follow this method, we should be able to hold on for a while. Zi Chun looked at the 2 of them. The 2 of them nodded at the same time. The Soul Mountain disappeared, and Zi Chin had successfully broken through. After he came out, he thought of this method. He did not hope to protect everyone, but only to give the people living here a chance to survive. Have you really decided? Ji Hong looked at Zi Chin. This is the only way. Zi Chin sighed and said, even if I can't save this world, I have to save my friends. The woman took out the spirit of slaughter. The spirit of slaughter turned into a ray of light and rotated around Zichin. Zichin said, I'll leave it with you for now. The woman looked at Zichin in surprise. Zichin said, I don't have any confidence in this trip. Instead of letting it follow me into the Fallen Star River, it's better to let it play a greater role with you. The spirit of slaughter reluctantly left Zichin and returned to the woman's side. Next, Zi-Chun would go to the Fallen Star River to seek the most powerful force. But before that, Zi-Chun had to find the extra-legal spirit demons and announce his existence to them. Therefore, this was the last time the three of them met. If everything went well, they would naturally have a chance to meet again in the future. If there was an accident, this would also be the last time the three of them met. Be careful. Ji-Hong glanced at Zi-Chen. You too. Zi-Chen walked in the direction of Pofa City. The two of them watched Zi-Chen leave. At this moment, the responsibility of the whole world was on him alone. This kind of pressure could be imagined. The two of them soon left and went their separate ways. They also had to do something for this world. Even if it was just a little. Zi-Chen kept moving forward. Along the way, he encountered a team of extra-legal spirit demons. He went forward without hesitation. He did not let these people go just because the highest realm was only the 8 forces state. He killed them all. No one was left alive. He kept moving forward. He killed all the extra-legal spirit demons he encountered along the way. Finally, he reached the outside of Pofa City. Many extra-legal spirit demons had already gathered here. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.